Welcome back to another live stream. Hi! It's been a while. I've been away for 2 weeks. There were no live streams in the past 2 weeks, and I am so happy to be back. And of course, there's the multiple announcements from OM Systems earlier, just a few hours ago. And we're going to talk all about it in today's live stream. But before we dive in too far, just want to make sure that the audio is okay, the microphone is working, you can see the video feed fine. Let me know if you can see everything okay. And while I'm waiting for some feedback, let me drink some coffee. Yeah, can't wait to talk to you guys. Hey, coffee. All right. Thank you, Jerry Hikari, for the update. I think we have some feedback already. Everything is working fine. All right, let's say hi to some people first. As usual, I will respond to members first. If you are a member, your name will be highlighted in green, and there's a star badge, and that's to your name. But I'll get to every single chat, so if you're not a member, you just have to wait a little bit. I will get to everyone, all right? Okay, then the guitar man. Hey man, how are you? Nice to see you here. Hey Robin, welcome back. Hope you've had plenty of rest and decompressed a little bit. The break was a little bit too long, and after a while, I was away for more than 2 weeks, a little bit more than 2 weeks. And after 1 week, I was worrying about my work in Kuala Lumpur, and things are piling up. I've got emails, and my clients were communicating with me about future projects. I was getting a little bit agitated, and I was really looking forward to coming back to Kuala Lumpur and really dive into work. So yeah, I think break is great, but a little bit too long. Of course, if I don't have anything to do, if there's no projects, no shoots whatsoever, it'd be great. But yes, it's been a little bit too long, but it was good. I've had a good time spent with my family and friends. We've had Chinese New Year. Oh yeah, to all the Chinese people or anyone celebrating the Lunar New Year, well, Happy New Year to you guys. And as you can see on my light box, is Huat Ah. That's a Hokkien saying for wishing you a prosperous, having abundant blessings or wealth. Can't wait to hear your thoughts, good and bad, regarding the OM-3 and lenses. Yeah, I'll share a little bit of what I think, but I can't make any conclusions. I obviously don't have the products with me. They have just been launched. I no longer have any connections to OM Systems. I'm just like all of you, looking at whatever that's available, the specifications online, right? So based on that, I do have some opinion, and I'll talk about it a little bit later. But let's say hi to more people. James says, hello Robin, and welcome back. Thank you so much, James, and nice seeing you here. Terry says, hi Robin from sunny cold UK. Hey Terry, how are you? Yumi says, hi Robin, hope you've had a wonderful holiday. I did. It was quite a needed refresh and reset, and I'm back. I'm glad to be back. Roger said, good morning Robin from Massachusetts. Hey Roger, how are you? Chris says, I'm sad about the OM-3. That is not a game changer for OM system. A new body with old tech. It's hard for me to say whether it's a game changer or not at this point because the camera has just been launched. I haven't been watching a lot of reviews, but to say that it is a new body with old tech, like it is basically a new body with OM-1 Mark II internals. And how is that old? I thought OM-1 Mark II was launched like 1 year ago. And I know that OM Mark II and OM-1, they're quite similar, but even OM-1 is fairly a new camera, right? Like how is OM-1 old? Like the image sensor, image processor, and there's some features like live grad ND and all the computational stuff and the fast burst rate, fast readouts. I thought those were pretty new. Anyways, because it is Chinese New Year, here in Malaysia, it's quite a huge thing. There will be fireworks and firecrackers happening from time to time. So depending on how far or how near they are, it could be quite noisy and very loud. So I apologize in advance if there's any noise distractions in the background, right? It is Chinese New Year. People play fireworks here. Jeff Painter, hey, how are you? Jeff says ordered one this morning directly from OM Systems. Well, congratulations. Well, it's supposed to be shipping out by end of the month or something, right? So you're going to have the camera in a few weeks. Alien says, hi Robin, I wish OM-3 is a Pan F reborn. It turns out to be SOM-1. I don't think, well, it's definitely not a Pan F. I think a lot of people love the Pen F, the rangefinder style, the flat top, but it's definitely not the OM-1. OM-1 is more like a mini DSLR with a beefy grip. You know, it handles like a DSLR, whereas the OM-3 is more vintage, more retro looking. It takes the inspiration from the legacy film SLR cameras. So I don't think it's the same thing, alright? Chris says, a new old body, yeah. Okopio says, hi Robin, good to see you again after the Lunar New Year. Hey, how are you? We are still celebrating. It's ongoing for 15 days. So it is day 9. So I can still wish people 恭喜发财. Praveen says, good morning, Robin from Toronto. Just woke up to enjoy the live. Thank you so much, Praveen, for being here. Nice to see you. Vapagamuka says, good evening, Robin. Welcome back. Thank you so much, Vapagamuka. Very nice to see you here. How was your vacation? Have you had a great time? It was good. Spent a lot of time with my mom, catching up with relatives, some friends. I've even caught up with a friend that I haven't seen in more than 20 years. So it was pretty good. I've had a fantastic time celebrating Chinese New Year back in my hometown, Kuching in Borneo. Chris says, and the price? I thought it was already announced, right? $199 body only. Thank you so much. Jerry Kari, Crispy says, welcome back. Thank you. Clemens says, hi Robin, good morning from Paraguay. Hey Clemens, how are you? Thank you so much for the update. Thanks, Proxty. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Nice to see you here. Suni says, the OM-3 body is actually somewhat what I had thought the OM-5 would be, a retro-style camera that was sturdy as the EM5 Mark II, but instead they introduced it at a flagship level price. Well, to be fair, it does have flagship level internals. It has the same autofocus capabilities as the OM-1 Mark II, which is not too shabby. It is also weather sealed. It's also made of metal construction. So yes, the price is a little bit on the higher side. When I saw the price, I also thought I wish it was cheaper. I wish that it was made maybe about $400-$500 lower, but it is what it is. They decided to put in OM-1 Mark II's internals. How cheap can they make it, right? It just doesn't make sense. If it is like $500 cheaper, nobody's gonna get the OM-1 Mark II anymore. You get what I mean? So they also don't want to eat into the OM-1 Mark II sales. There's a little bit of overlap there, but we'll talk about that a little bit more. Right? Okabe says, how many kolomi plates you eat there? Well, kolomi is served in bowls, not plates. The answer is, I lost count. Frosty says, I'm excited for the new OM. I am excited too. Well, I have my OM system cap here already, so to show my excitement. Jerry says, hi from sunny Finland. Hey Jerry, always a pleasure to see you here. Temperature just below 0 degrees Celsius. Just below, my goodness. Optimal weather to go out. Well, please do go out, have plenty of fun doing shuttle therapy. Hey. Harry says, hello from the Netherlands. Hey Harry, how are you? Richard! Hey Richard, how are you? Richard is an OM system ambassador in Malaysia. We do keep in touch. I've just seen him a few weeks ago at a mutual friends exhibition launch. Richard is also a birder. He does a lot of fantastic bird photography. I followed him a few times going out to shoot birds. Fantastic person, fantastic photographer. And 恭喜发财 to you too, Richard. Chris says, hey everyone, and Robin. Hey Chris, how are you? Esmida says, most people compare OM-3 with Nikon and Fuji low and below OM-5 level, but there are not many silk cameras with stacked CMOS image stabilization at 120 frames per second, but that grip would be better with the Threadlight Z2. I don't think people compare it with lower end cameras. I think people compare the OM-3 with Nikon ZF, which is a full frame with quite a capable image sensor. I would say that image stabilization is even probably better than the OM-3. It doesn't have 120 frames per second, but this kind of cameras is not designed for speed. I'll argue that if you want speed, then there is the OM-1 and OM-1 Mark II. So when coming down to the OM-3, I don't think speed is the priority here. I think they're just putting everything in to justify the price. But I will be happy if OM-3 with just 10 frames per second. I'm not going to use it for anything too speedy or too blazing fast, right? So comparing it to, let's say, Nikon ZF, I would think that it's fair. Or comparing it to a Fuji X100 Mark V or Mark VI, that's also a fair comparison. Fuji X100 VI is also weather sealed. It has image stabilization, so yeah, why not? But yes, the grip though, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Chuk Ching says, hey Robin, from Hong Kong. Hey Chuk Ching, how are you? Nice to see you here. Let's see. Zoltan says, "Hi Robin, Happy New Year, and hello everyone from Maryland." Hey Zoltan, how are you? Nice to see you here. David says, "Hey Robin, hey David, very very nice to see you." Nazon says, "Hi Robin from Vietnam." Hi Nazon, how are you? Yumi says, "OM-3 is going to be great for birding." I don't think that's the camera designed for birding. It doesn't have a beefier grip to stabilize larger and longer lenses. If you watch Petapixel's review by Chris Nichols, he says even the 12 to 100 Pro lens, he's already having difficulties handling that lens, balancing it on the OM-3. So I don't think birding is a suitable genre for the OM-3. I think it's more for everyday carry, travel, street photography, documentary, portrait, things that don't require large and long lenses, right? Robert says, "Hey Robin and friends from IC Northern Virginia." Hey Robert, how are you? Nice to see you here. Proceed says, "Show us the fireworks." I can't. It comes and goes, and if it does, there's a near one. It's maybe for like 5 seconds, and by the time I relocate the camera, it's already gone. So yeah, Just the Right Channel says, "Hi Robin, hey, how are you? Nice to see you here." Terry says, "It's what we would expect in a Pen F Mark II and an OM1 film body. I think the question is the price will compete with competition." I think the price is definitely questionable. I do wish that it's a little bit lower, but looking at what it is, it has OM1's internals. And how can it be cheaper than OM1, right? It's basically the same camera as OM1 in terms of specifications, capabilities, image quality, and all the amazing things about the speed and all the computational features, right? Yeah. Anastas says, "Hey Robin, nice to see you again." Hey Anastas, nice to see you here. Thank you for dropping by. Are you going to order the OM-3? I will reveal the answer just a while. Let me go through, say hi to a few more people first, all right? Then we'll start talking about updates, and let's go on with the stream later. Amani says, "I think it's a great move, good specs, cheaper than OM-1 Mark II, and vintage appeal." Definitely. I think the OM-1 Mark II is for the serious professional working photographers. It looks like a serious camera with a beefy grip, handling larger lenses. If you are not that professional, or you don't want a camera that looks so serious, if you want a camera that's fashionable, that looks amazing, that inspires you to pick it up, I think the OM-3 is definitely a great move. And I think there is a clear movement now. I think it's also smart for OM system to tap into this trend, the hype of anything classic looking, retro. It definitely will sell. I think OM-3 will do quite well. Santik says, "Happy Chinese New Year to you too. 恭喜发财 to you, Santik. It's nice to see you here. I hope you've had a good holiday." Gordon says, "Hey Robin, I like the new OM-3, almost an OM-1 Mark II but smaller. Price a bit high. Same as the OM Mark II in US and Canada." Yeah, I think now, for now, at least the launch price is on the higher side of things, but I think it's probably going to be a little bit lower over time, right? The price will come down a little bit. No, it's basically a greeting. It's a blessing. It's like I'm wishing you having more prosperity. Huat. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna put a pause here, and I'm gonna start talking about a little bit of live updates or things that's happening on my channel. Let's see. I've been away for 2 weeks. If you guys haven't realized, this is my first live stream in weeks, and it feels so weird because I've been doing live streams for so long, continuously, week after week, right? There's one live stream every Thursday without fail for the past 1 year, one or more than 1 year, right? And suddenly I was gone for 2 weeks, and when Thursday came, it felt weird. It's like I felt like I need to do something because I've been doing it for a year, and I couldn't do it because I don't have my equipment with me. I don't have my light, my microphone, and I'm running on a very low powered laptop. I don't have my camera set up with me, everything. I could use the webcam to go live. That thought has crossed my mind, but I thought, hey, I'm with my family and friends. I should spend more time with my mom. I should enjoy the Chinese New Year festivities. I shouldn't be worrying about live stream and everything. And I have been doing this live stream every single week. So I think having that 2 weeks break, I think it's good, right? It's good to take time away from doing all this. But hey, I'm back, and while I was away, I was actually looking forward to coming back and actually talk to you guys. I was actually miss doing this, even if it was just for 2 weeks. So I'm back. While I was away, I released a few new videos, the weekly videos, the pre-recorded videos. They went on as usual, and the latest one was this Panasonic 20 f1.7 pancake lens. I found this lens at a very good price in the used market. Now, funny story, I genuinely thought that this was the Mark 1. Like, I have no idea this was the Mark II version until some people pointed out. And looking at the markings or the labels on the lens, it didn't say Mark II. It just says 20 f1.7. There's no Mark II, so Panasonic, if this is a Mark II, why can't you just label it like the Roman letters 2, right? Or 2, like anything, numerical letter 2 or whatever, right? To indicate that this is a Mark II, like without people being confused. Like, how would I know your lens design? You have so many lenses, and I'm obviously not familiar with this lens. The last time I used this lens was more than 10 years ago. So anyways, apologies. I'm very, very, very sorry for making that mistake. I am human. I do make mistakes. And while I was saying that I had this Panasonic 20 f1.7 Mark I, this is actually the Mark II version, which brings us to another point. It's actually more troubling that this is Mark II, because all the problems that I've encountered in the 20 f1.7 Mark I, they were all present in the 20 f1.7 Mark II. The purple fringing, the flare, the super slow autofocus. It's like they never made any effort. They didn't do anything to improve the lens, although they just made a Mark II version. Why? Why would we want to do that? It makes zero sense. You're already spending money to create a new lens. Of course, you're recycling some parts, but since you are doing a new one, why don't you improve it? Anyway, enough rant. I have ranted enough in that video, my complaints about this 20 f1.7, why I don't really like it, and I will sell this lens off very, very soon. But that was Monday, so if you haven't checked out that video, please do check it out. I did have some quite interesting photographs that I've shared in that particular video. Now, while I was back in Kuching, I did have some shutter therapy sessions. Unfortunately, I couldn't do more. I wish I could do more, but it was raining the entire time. So if there's any of you here from Kuching in the past 1 to 2 weeks, you will know that it has been raining non-stop every day, like every day. There was only one morning where it was actually sunny, and it was the morning that I went out to do my street photography. Every other mornings, I actually went out with my friends, Kieran Long. We just decided to have kolomi and coffee because it was raining so heavily that we couldn't do shutter therapy. Our cameras may be weather sealed, but our bodies are not, and I don't want to fall sick during the festivities celebrating Chinese New Year. I need to be at the peak of my health because I'm meeting families and friends. We're going to visit. I'm going to see a lot of people. I don't want to be sick. That's just not going to happen, right? So it's raining and raining. Actually, some parts of Sarawak was actually flooded, and that was a bad thing, right? So yeah, too bad. I did what I can. We did have a model shooting session. We did have some street photography sessions, and I do have some photographs to share later. I just got back here 2 o'clock in the morning, like less than 24 hours ago. I took a midnight flight because it was cheaper, and I arrived home at 2. After I settled down, took a shower, it was already 3, and I slept throughout the morning. And yeah, it was that tight, and I had to meet a client in the afternoon. Nothing serious. It was just a short meeting about a future project. And I went to the gym. I've come back, had dinner, and I prepared for this stream. So in between, I don't have a lot of time to download the photographs and edit them. And I did edit just a few to show you guys later, right? So stay tuned. There is a few photographs that I do want to share with you guys from my recent trip back to Kuching. All right. Any more updates? There are some exhibitions happening now, nothing new, but if there's anything new, I'll keep you guys posted. That's it for now, besides the huge announcements from OM System. But before we go to that, let me remind everyone that I have enabled membership. So with just the price of a cup of coffee, you can support me. You can, and you get some really cool perks in return. You have early access to all my new videos. You get to see my videos 24 hours before everyone else. And we have members-only live streams every month. It is a private live stream where you get to interact with me a little bit more. And of course, if you have comments in my new or old videos, I will prioritize my responses to your comments first. And same as well, if you come into live streams like this, I'll definitely respond to your chats first before everyone else. Now, I have taken down some videos. These older videos, they were not performing well. I don't want them to dilute the algorithm of YouTube. I want YouTube to continue to promote my newer videos to a wider audience. That's why I took them down. And these videos include tips and tricks on composition, black and white photography, how to get sharp images doing macro, and a lot of POV street photography where you see me actually in action out on the streets composing my shots, what happens around me and in front of me before I click the shutter button. All these videos are made accessible if you join as a member, and yeah, any support goes a long way, and I really appreciate you guys. And there are other ways to support me besides the membership. You can buy me a cup of coffee using this link, or you can contribute directly to my PayPal. Links in the description below on how you can do that. You can also buy from my affiliate links. Any small contribution goes a long way, and for those who have supported me, thank you so much. It means the whole world to me. It definitely motivates me to go out, shoot more, and share as much as I can with you guys. All right, let's drink some coffee, and I'll reply to some chats, and we'll start talking about the OM System's new announcement. I see there's quite a lot of people here. Let's see. Wheezy says, hi from Bristol, UK. OM-3 looks good specifications. Be on a high price for me, but I'm sure it will be on the deal in the 6 months. Yes, that's what I mentioned as well, right? The price will definitely come down in a while. Anastas says, I love the OM-3 in general. I just hate the lack of the joystick. Such a rookie mistake by OM System. They should put a joystick in every OM camera. That's a decision. I think for high-level cameras like the OM-1 or OM-1 Mark II, right, then joystick makes sense. But I personally, well, I have the OM-1. I don't use the joystick. I rather use the touch screen to quickly move around the focusing point. And there are more efficient ways to move the focusing point than the joystick, right? It depends on your workflow. Everyone is different. Lip Gloss Eater says, "Kung si Fat Chai Robin, kung si Fat Chai to you too. I'm excited about the new OM-3, such a handsome camera with many of the OM-1 Mark II specs to boot. Can't wait to check it out in person." Yes, it's also very important to have the camera in your hand, see how it feels, see if there's anything wrong, or whether it feels comfortable holding it for a duration of time. Don't just hold it for like 10 seconds and put it back. Hold it for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes if the people at the shop or retailers, they allow you to, right? Bring it around, take some photographs, like you're actually using the camera to see how it fits in your hand and whether you like it or not. That's very important, because if you don't like the handling, you spend money on it, you're gonna stuck with the camera for the rest of your time with the camera, right? Jared says, my feeling is that OM System is on the right track now. OM-3 looks promising, and so do updated versions of lenses. Yes, it seems like they are listening, partially. I'm not saying that they listen to everything that we want or we have requested. I think a lot of us requested PenF Mark II, but that didn't happen. It came in a form of OM-3. Surprise, surprise. But it is still a good step in the right direction that a vintage retro design camera is the trend now. It's what everyone is aiming for. Fuji has been on this trend for a long time. Nikon is coming onto the trend. I'm sure Canon is jumping onto the trend soon, and maybe Sony as well, jumping on the bandwagon. I don't know when they'll do it, but this is the trend now. The camera has to look good. It's not just a camera that's capable of taking good photographs, right? So they are going to the right direction, definitely. Somebody says, too expensive, should have high megapixels, joystick, and more function buttons. The left dial only has 3 items, can't put more things there. Now, the design decisions may be questionable, but I look at the overall layout of the camera, it makes sense. Having more function buttons may not necessarily be a good thing. And I think all the buttons like the computational photography CP, the AF on at the front, even a lot of things around the camera itself can be customized. Like if you don't want the CP to be CP, it can be customized to change ISO, for example. If you don't want the F on button to be F on, it can be customized to change the white balance, for example. Knowing Olympus cameras, a lot of the buttons are programmable, and looking at the OM-3, it's not lacking buttons to customize. And joystick, again, is a preference. I personally don't care about the joystick. I have the OM-1. I tried using the joystick. I still come back to the touchscreen. It's a lot more efficient. It's faster. It's more accurate for me. I don't have to be like the touchscreen is just pap. There it is. I know where it is. That's where the focusing point goes, right? It's just so much more efficient. Well, at least for the way I shoot. I'm not speaking for everyone. Feel free to use whatever methods that you want to use in your photography. But if joystick is the default, then yeah, you're gonna miss it, right? But if the camera doesn't have the joystick, you just have to find a way to live with it, right? And it's not like OM System is not giving you enough options or effective alternatives to work with, right? There are so many ways you can control the autofocus points, and the touchscreen is just one of it, which I find more efficient. David says, I think the OM-3 price has room for sales and price drops like OM Mark 1 is now. Hopefully, we'll see. This will only happen over time, right? So hopefully it happens. Zach says, good morning, Robin, and the chat. Good morning, Zach. How are you? We have a members chat. Let me just go to it. Chris says, hey, Robin and everyone. It's a mixed afternoon here in the Isle of Wight, UK. I'm checking out the OM-3, looking pretty good so far. Love the retro look and feel, but it's not a camera for me. Yeah, I understand. Personally, for me, I would still want something like the OM-1, the beefier grip, because handling is very important to me. And yeah, the retro look is fine. Even I was not a fan of the Pan F. I told this already, and my review is still out there. I don't really like the Pan F. I prefer the EM5 Mark II and the EM1 back in those days, right? But those are just personal preferences. I know a lot of people love the retro vintage design. I think OM-3 is going to appeal to a large crowd. Yeah. Let's make sure I don't miss any members' comments. Jose says, hey Robin, beautiful camera, but not for me, very expensive for a beginner like me. But there are a lot of other options that are more budget friendly, so if you don't want to spend a lot on the camera, you can look at the older cameras, even the older flagships from Olympus, like the EM1, EM1 Mark II. These cameras are still fully capable today, and I'm still using my Olympus EM1 Mark II for my professional shoots. So I think these cameras are still great today. They can deliver fantastic results. You don't need the greatest and latest to produce fantastic photography, right? So stay within your budget, work with what you have, and definitely, photography is not about the gear, but it's about you, photographer. You are the artist, and it's how you express your ideas and thoughts and communicate through your photography. So yeah, Steve says, I've seen a lot of ZF comparisons. I think it's not the same kind of camera. Well, the thing about ZF is that it is a film SLR design, whereas the OM-3 is also a film SLR design. So that's the similarities. Of course, in terms of formats, both are different cameras. The OM-3 is Micro Four Thirds, ZF is full frame, but there are so many similarities, right? They have electronic viewfinder, they have 5-axis image stabilization. The cameras can basically do a lot of amazing photography features built into the camera, right? So yeah, I think it's a fair comparison. You can't say that, oh, just because this OM-3 is a unique camera, there's nothing like it. But as a consumer, you are in the market, there are options. And ZF is one of the options. Whether you like it or not, people are just going to compare like the OM-3 to the ZF. That's just, it cannot be avoided, right? Somebody says, I hope you slept well last night. Fireworks for the whole night near my area. Well, I slept at 3. I got back at 2, so around 3 o'clock, it was all right. It has quieted down, so it wasn't as bad as, maybe during midnight. I was flying, so I did. The cool thing though, last night during my flight, when I was about to land at Kuala Lumpur, it was about past midnight, and well, during midnight there were a lot of fireworks happening. So at about past midnight, the fireworks have quieted down, but I still can see like sporadic bursts of fireworks from above. So the plane was coming down to the airport, and I was above all the buildings and all the housing areas. You can see like bursts of fireworks from a top view, which was pretty amazing. But anyway, Gerard says, waited forever and expecting something more than 20 megapixels to meet clients' requirements for pro work. Unfortunately, still an old sensor, may have to get a G9 Mark II instead, which is cheaper. I don't think I would want to use the OM-3 for clients' work. The camera looks, well, I don't know. Like if I were to use a camera to shoot professionally, I would use something that looks like a mini DSLR, something like the EM1, EM1 Mark II, or the OM1 or G9 Mark II, right? I wouldn't bring a silver OM-3. It just looks like, I don't know, a non-serious camera, right? Which is fine. It has its place. Like if I were to do street photography or my personal projects, documentary, shooting portraits, for example, I don't care about whether the camera looks serious or not. I'd rather have a camera that's not looking too serious, so people don't take me too seriously, right? When I approach strangers on the street doing portraits of strangers, a camera that doesn't scream like, "Hey, I'm a reporter or a journalist," is actually an advantage. So OM-3 works in that regard. Is preferred in that particular use case scenario. But when I'm doing work for my clients, for professional shoots, I'll definitely want to use something bigger, something that looks more serious, like the OM-1. Yeah. Chrissy says, yes, too expensive. I stay with my EM1 Mark II and OM-5. No worries, these are still fantastic cameras. Ho says, is the pricing reflecting where they want to put this camera? Low release price would signal inferior product. I think the price is fair for what they offer. Yeah, as I mentioned that the OM-3 has the internals of the OM-1 Mark II, so how can it be that much cheaper, right? It's basically the same camera with different housing, a more retro design, right? Serge says, I finally bought the 100 to 400 Mark I reconditioned like new from OM System last week. They were doing 35% discount, so I paid 775 euros. How the price of the new one who has better stabilization? Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. Yeah, definitely. Let's jump right into the topic. And congratulations, Serge, for the purchase of the lens. I hope you go out and take some amazing photographs with that lens, whatever that you're using the lens for. All right, it's a fantastic news that you got quite a huge savings for that lens. Okay, let's talk about OM-3. So today, OM Systems announced 4 new products. Well, technically, we'll just stay with 4 new products, although the other 3 are not exactly new, but more like updated versions. One is the OM-3 camera, and then we have the updated 25 f1.8 Mark II and 17 f1.8 Mark II. And also we have this 25 and 17 Mark II, which is weather sealed. And also we have the 100 to 400 Mark II, which has better stabilization basically, right? So let's get to the OM-3 first. Now, I'm not going to go through every single specifications. Obviously, Obviously, I have no connection to OM Systems. I made it very clear from the start. I don't have the camera with me. I have not seen the camera in person. So it's not fair for me to make any conclusions or any judgment just looking at the paper specifications, right? Whatever I know, you also know, and I have seen some reviews, notably the one from Petapixel. Chris Nichols shared his thoughts. I read both the article and watched the video, and that's it. That's all I know about OM-3. I know nothing more than you guys. I'm no longer an ambassador. I don't have special access to these cameras anymore, and even so, like, I don't know, guys. When I look back at my older videos and even blog articles, like the amount of work I put in camera reviews was insane. Like, my goodness, I cannot believe I worked so hard for camera reviews. You get what I mean? It's like I spent so many hours going outside to shoot images and really test the camera in every single scenario possible. Whatever that I can do with the camera, I brought it out to shoot the typo sum. I brought it out to shoot in a club, in dark environment where the singer's performing to test the low light. I brought him out to shoot in the zoo. I brought it out to shoot inside macro. But inside macro is the best place to test the handling of the camera. If there's something wrong, I can tell within a few minutes. I brought the cameras out to shoot portraits. I brought it out to shoot street photography during day and night. It's like I spent so much time just reviewing a camera, right? Because I believe that without the photographs, then the review is meaningless. My evidence or what I want to say is all in the photographs. So anyway, that's just me ranting about how much work I put into my previous reviews. I don't even know if I can do it again these days. Like, if there's a new camera and I want to go through all that again, the thought of going through so much work, it terrifies me. I'm like, maybe I'm getting older. I don't know. Like, I was really enthusiastic and I don't know, it's like I would lose sleep doing all these things back then. But anyway, yeah, this is OM-3. Basically, it has a lot of similar internals with the OM-1 Mark II, same autofocus performance, same processor, same image sensor, so I guess the same image quality, slightly lower capable image stabilization, which is not a big deal. I think it's still fully capable, rated at what, 6 stops, 7 stops effectiveness. That's crazy enough. I mean, if you've used OM Systems or Olympus image stabilization, you wouldn't question the effectiveness of the image stabilization. And the OM-3 is made of full metal construction, much like the Pen F. I don't know whether it's better constructed than the Pen F or it's less or inferior, I don't know. I have to see in person. It also has weather sealing, which is rated at IP53, which is amazing. It's blazing fast. It does like 120 frames per second or 50 frames per second with continuous autofocus with selected lenses. It shares the same battery as the OM-1 Mark II, which is great because we need more battery life. There's no point running around with a camera that has short battery life. The viewfinder is a letdown though. Like, it's the same panel used in the original Pan F or the EM10 Mark II, right? It's the lower grade panel with lower resolution, but it does have a higher magnification at 0.69 versus previously 0.62. But that's just going to make things worse, right? Bigger magnification with less pixels. I haven't tested the viewfinder, so I don't know how good or how bad it is, or whether there's any improvement or any changes made, but I'll assume it's the same panel. They just recycled the old panel. And at this price range, like, I don't mind the viewfinder being the lower grade. You don't have to be the best of the best, because I've never had any issues using the viewfinder from the EM1 Mark II or the EM1 original, which is basically I would say the same panel. I don't have any issues using this or older viewfinder panels, but at this price range, come on. You know, it's like I'm expecting better, right? I'm not expecting the same viewfinder panel as the OM1, which is like 5 million dots. Maybe we can put in a 3.7 million dot kind of viewfinder panel. I don't know. So I thought that was a little bit of a letdown. And especially you have that hum at the top of the camera. It shows that the camera has a viewfinder. And I would want to use the viewfinder of the camera. I sort of wish it's a little bit better. So anyways, I don't think the camera is designed to shoot video. I mean, if you want to compare with Panasonic G9 Mark II and the GH7 video capabilities in the Panasonic's territory, it's definitely going to blow anything from the OM system out of water. So this is definitely not a video-centric camera or vlogging-centric camera. I think overall, what I love is that the look of the camera, I think it looks fantastic, and this is what we have been waiting for, although not exactly, because I know a lot of people are asking for the Pan F Mark II. The Pan F original has gained quite a cult following, but the Pan F Mark II would have been a great successor or a great camera to have today, but we don't have it. We have it in the form of the OM-3, which is not necessarily a bad thing, right? Yes, it is still a capable camera for non-serious work, which I think this is where the camera is aimed for. If you want serious work, then you go for OM1, OM Mark II, right? G9 Mark II, GH7. But this kind of camera, this kind of design, I don't think I want to use this, and I wouldn't recommend any professional photographers to actually use this for serious client work, for your professional shoots. So if that's the case, if this is your everyday camera, if this is your travel camera, if this is an enthusiast camera, if it's the camera that you do your street photography with, or do some landscape, or do some I don't know, any kind of photography, right? Portraits or documentary work, I think 20 megapixels is more than enough, and it's still the latest image sensor from OM system, right? So you still get plenty out of these cameras. Oh, by the way, all these photographs were stolen from OM Systems website. So if you notice that this section is missing in the future, well, I guess they have claimed copyright, or they send me a letter or something. I hope they don't, right? I'm still a supporter, right? Like I'm genuinely a Micro Four Thirds fan, so there's no reason to go after me. But anyway, yeah, I think I said I love the OM3's design. I think it's suitable. I think the camera is perfectly capable for what it's intended for. The target audience is definitely not for serious photographers. I understand I've been saying that I wish there's more megapixels, because 20 megapixels is not enough in 2024, 2025. Moving forward, we need more megapixel count for serious work, but that's for serious work. So I'll reserve that comment of not having enough megapixels or not having a new updated image sensor for improved image quality. I'll reserve that comment for the flagship replacement, which is the OM-1 Mark III or whatever that's coming next in the pipeline, right? That's the flagship level. I do expect flagship level cameras to have better image quality, but for OM3, I think it's fine for its target market. 20 megapixels, that image sensor in there, because it's the same one as the one I have, this OM1, which you are looking through now on this live stream. I think it's still truly capable. I think there's no problem with it. I can still do a lot of low light photography. I don't have any instances where dynamic range is not enough, image quality is still amazing, and I'm perfectly happy with what I can get from it. But I do want more if it's a flagship camera, right? So in terms of image quality, it's fine. In terms of performance, it's fine. I can't comment on the autofocus performance, but I've read from DP Review. If you guys have read the DP Review's analysis on the autofocus performance on OM-3, it's not that great. It seems like there's not much improvement. It's just using the OM-Mark II's autofocus performance. If that's true, then I wish that the flagship level camera would be improved. Now, I can forgive that OM-3 is not perfect because it's not flagship level, right? So yeah, but here's the thing, right? My honest thought. I wish that OM-3 doesn't have the internals of OM-Mark II, because that made things very, very expensive. Having that speed, that stack sensor, right? Having all these computational features like live grade ND, if you take away some of these features, if you just simplify the camera, if you don't need the camera to be, the latest and greatest, right? Let's say just put in an older EM1 Mark II's image sensor, which is better than the Pan-F. By the way, if you guys don't know, the Pan-F and EM1 Mark II do not have the same 20 megapixel sensor. The EM1 Mark II has a superior image sensor, which has about one stop better high dynamic range and high ISO performance compared to the Pan-F. If they just put it there, don't need like 50 frames a second, 120 frames a second. Just put it 10, 20 frames a second. That's fine. Put in a decent image stabilization, but make it ruggedly built, make it weather sealed, and as a trade-off, while it doesn't have like the latest and greatest bells and whistles from the OM-Mark II, but put in a better viewfinder. Like you have older tech, better viewfinder, but improve the autofocus algorithm. I know, people will say, oh, Robin, the OM1 is good. No, OM1 is horrible. Oh, OM-Mark II is improved. Have you tried? No, I've tried it, and I've seen some friends complain about the same things. But I think they can improve the autofocus without having to use the OM-Mark II's internals. Come on, Sony has super effective autofocus like 5 years ago. Then any camera from Sony 5 years ago is better than OM system now. Why can't they do it, right? Even Sony, well, not just Sony, Canon and Nikon, they have superior autofocus performance. And I don't think it's all about having the latest sensor and the latest processor. No, autofocus don't need that. I just need the autofocus to be reliable, and I think they can improve that without having to use the OM-Mark II's internals, having the 120 frames per second, all these crazy computational features. Take them all out. Just make the camera more basic, and yeah, better viewfinder, which should improve the shooting experience, make it look classic retro, and make it smaller. Like, come on, it doesn't have to be that big. Part of the reason why it's that big is because of the chunky battery. You get away with a smaller battery because this older processor, it doesn't require so much power to run it, right? So anyway, those are just my thoughts about the OM-3, but I'm glad that it's weather sealed, because that's the mistake that the Pan-F made. It wasn't weather sealed, and it's priced similar to the EM5 Mark II. EM5 Mark II was weather sealed and better built than a Pan-F, right? So yeah, and I love that it takes cue from this heritage, the Olympus Legacy, the OM series film SLRs, which look fantastic, by the way. It has such a rich history, and I love that OM system is tapping into that. It's not a mistake, I think. Yes, we don't have the Pan-F, but it's also good to have something else. We already have the Pan-F. We don't have the Pan-F Mark II, but it's good to have something different. I think the OM-3 having the flat gripping area, I know this is a bit a mixed reaction for a lot of people. Yes, it looks good being flat, but I personally would prefer the beefier hand gripping area of a DSLR shaped camera. That's just me. I've already said this when I was reviewing the Pan-F. I've already said this multiple times on these live streams. Like, Pan-F is not a camera for me. So having this similar DNA on the OM-3 definitely is not for me, right? But I can't speak for everyone. I know a lot of people love this. Fuji has proven that, hey, the flat gripping area is not a problem for a lot of people. A lot of people still go for it despite its horrible handling. I gotta say, Fuji makes some of the worst handling cameras in history. But anyway, I'm not gonna be here to bash Fuji, but let's just focus on the OM-3. And I think they are doing more good things than bad. I think they're stepping into the right direction with this camera. They are listening, at least. They are making a camera that looks fantastic. I gotta say, at first glance, whoa, it does look sexy. It's the kind of camera that you really want to pick it up and go out and shoot. Now, of course, a lot of people are gonna comment about the pricing. You know, it's a little bit on the high side. Why don't I just go for OM1, OM-2? But essentially, both are different cameras. I know you're still going to compare. Then you just got to pick which one works for you. If you feel that the OM1, OM-2 are better suited for you, if you want the beefier grip, if you want the amazing high-resolution viewfinder, if you want a rugged build of obviously the OM1 and OM-2, they're going to be better and sturdier in construction compared to the OM-3. If you need the dual card slots, if you need the camera to be the best of the best, well, flagship is the answer, right? The OM-3 is not a flagship camera. It's not designed to compete with the OM-1. So the fact that it's not, and it still has the internal of the OM1 Mark II, is actually not a bad thing, all things considered. It's just that the price is on the higher side. It's going to be a put off to a lot of people. But hey, look at Fuji. I don't think X100 Mark VI is worth that much, cost that much, right? But yet people don't complain. People still buy the camera. It's sold everywhere. I also personally think that Ricoh GR3 is really expensive for what it is, for such a simple camera, and yet it is sold everywhere. So I think we've come to a point where price is not really an issue for a lot of people anymore. People will complain, people will say that it's expensive, but people will still buy them anyway. So it's just a matter of putting the right things into the camera, and I think that OM system has put a lot of right things into the OM-3 at this point. All right, so yeah, good that they have released the 17 f1.8 and the 25 f1.8, which are weather sealed to match the OM-3. It's gonna be funny using the OM-3 with large pro lenses, which are weather sealed. Now we have smaller lenses to match, which makes more sense, right? That's what Micro Four Thirds is all about. Small cameras, small lenses, smaller footprint that delivers fantastic results, and having weather sealing to match. Yeah. So about the 100 to 400 lens, like, I don't understand why they didn't put in the 5-axis sync IS in the first place. And it made them realize that it was a mistake. Most people don't understand, and obviously the 3-axis IS didn't work very well. A lot of people get blurry shots shooting at handheld at 800mm equivalent or even longer if you attach teleconverter. Having 5-axis sync IS would have mitigated most of the problems. Most people would be able to handle the lens more confidently. This was a problem that should have been solved in the first place. They should not have put in the inferior image stabilization in the previous Mark I version. They should have started doing this on day one, right? So I'm glad that they learned from this mistake, and they've come up with an updated version under the OM Systems brand, and it's a Mark II. Yes, it's a little bit late, it's a few years later, but I'm glad that we have 100 to 400, which is relatively a budget lens for wildlife and birding, such as super telephoto range. And now you can enjoy the 5-axis sync IS, which is a big deal if you use this lens handheld a lot, all right? And yeah, the 25 f1.8 and 17 f1.8 both are updated with weather sealing based on the information that I've gathered. Not much improvement in terms of, no other improvements in terms of optical construction. They remain the same, but they do have better coating, I think, to handle flare a little bit better. Gotta see more reviews and tests to verify this, but I'm very glad because I was one of the people who was very loud in asking for weather sealed small primes, right? It's finally happening. So I'm very, very glad that, hey, you know, someone in OM System is actually listening. It's not like whatever we are saying here or whatever we have been talking so far have been fallen on deaf ears, right? So they actually listen, and yeah, it doesn't take a lot to update the current lenses. They already have it, right? They just have to make them weather sealed. So I think it makes sense. We do need weather sealing in the smaller cameras, and I do use this, sorry, not cameras, but lenses. And I do use these smaller lenses a lot. So while I may not purchase the OM-3, yes, because OM-3 is not for me, I've mentioned already, I prefer the beefier grip of EM1 Mark II and the OM1. The flat grip is not for me. I'm not saying it's a bad camera. I'm not saying anything bad about the camera, but I can see the appeal of the camera, just like why so many people love the Pan F. I don't like the Pan F, so if you love the Pan F, good for you. That's your choice. It's not my choice. I don't see the OM-3 is the camera for me. I'm going to wait for a little bit longer to see what they come up with, the next flagship replacement after the OM Mark II. That will be the camera that I'm interested in getting, right? Maybe hopefully this improve autofocus and improve image quality. Both I will not expect from the OM-3. But anyway, good to see the lenses, good that they're listening. Yeah, so that's all I have to share about the OM-3 and the other products that's been launched today. I don't want to be the only one talking. I want to hear your thoughts. Do share your opinion about the OM-3. Is it the wow camera? Are you impressed with the OM-3? Do you think it's a little bit too expensive? Is it the camera that you've been waiting for? Or are you still waiting for the Pan F Mark II? Or are there any things in the OM-3 that you wish could have been improved or done better? Let me know, right? Let me know in the chat, and I will go through every single chat. Don't worry, but I'll prioritize my responses to members first. But before that, let me drink some coffee. All right, let's see if we have any members chat. We have a few. So I'm going to go to members chat first. Wow, we have a lot of comments. All right. Scott says, good morning from Orlando, Florida, and the OM-3 looks like an amazing camera. I might get one when it's closer to 50% off if my other macro Four Thirds cameras are near the end of their lives. That is going to be many, many years from now, Squidad, and very happy to see you here. How are you? G103 Habitat says, we have been screaming for a Pan F Mark II and they give us this. I have the ZF in it. It leans more retro than this. Yes, because the ZF has the manual shutter speed dials, manual ISO dials, right? But personally, I don't like those manual dials. I prefer to work with the twin dials control like a DSLR, which I think OM system did correctly on the OM-3. It's just more efficient, getting to the settings quicker. It just suits my workflow a little bit better, right? Then the Guitarman says, do you think they'll follow up with a newer version of the EM series next, or a flagship one? Not this year, because they've just launched the OM Mark II last year, right? So it usually takes 2 to 3 years for a new flagship camera to be released. So it was actually a surprise to many when the OM Mark II was launched, about a year after the OM1 or less than a year. So they was a bit curious. I don't know why they did that. I believe that the next iteration will take a bit of time, maybe with a new sensor, more resolution, new and improved sensor with dynamic range, better dynamic range, high ISO performance. I hope that happens, and I hope they get the autofocus right. Please don't screw this up, OM system. It's important that your flagship cameras do not have worse performance in any way compared to your predecessor, right? Or the previous flagship camera. So yeah. Andrew says, hello everyone, personally I think OM system knock it out of the park with the design, the color dial, as well as the C button are very good additions. I don't think those are new, right? Like the computational photography is already a thing, it's just a shortcut, and the first thing I would do with the shortcut, the CP button, is to customize it for something else. I don't need a quick access to all these features. And the color dial at the front, that's already available on the Pan F and the EP7. I don't know if people remember these cameras. It's not exactly new. And I look at the color profiles, when you change the monochrome settings as well as the color settings, the saturation, individual colors and everything, it's all the same. They didn't add anything new. It was the exact same settings and controls from the Pan F, which was already quite amazing. I'm not going to say it's bad. You can customize them, you can save them, you can export them, you can do a lot of things with them. You can customize the look of your images straight in the JPEG. They already have this. It's not like they add anything new, right? And you can do this using OM system workspace, I think, in the software for all your Olympus cameras. Anything newer than Pan F. I think before that you can't do, but even if you don't have that wheel, you can tweak those settings in post-editing in OM workspace, right? So it's not like a new thing. G103 that says, retro but no retro dials. Honestly, the OM5 looks better and probably handles better. this is where I agree with OM systems implementation. The retro dials are, to me, an annoyance. I think they are great during its time, like 30, 40 years ago, during the film SLR days. But these days, I prefer to work with dual dials. Like if you have used a DSR before, you know how fast the dual dials, the twin dials, the command dials, the front and back, right? ISO, aperture, shutter speed, everything is just there, and maybe just one shortcut button to quickly change something else, like exposure compensation or whatever. Yeah. Thoughts on OM1 is discounted to 1400, OM3 or OM1. But both are different cameras. Again, OM1 is the camera that I will pick, maybe not this OM1 because it has a lot of problems. But that kind of camera, the shape and the look, it's the kind of camera that I will use for professional shooting environment, whereas the OM-3 is something that I wouldn't bring to, say, a wedding shoot. It's going to be so uncomfortable handling the camera for a long duration of time. That's one of the problems, right? And it doesn't have dual cut slots, and to me, dual cut slots are very, very important. That's why the OM1, or actually the camera that I'm using now is the EMR Mark II, is a better choice for my professional shooting. So the fact that it has a single card slot and it doesn't have a beefy gripping area, it tells you that it's not a camera for you to use in a serious shooting environment, right? Yeah. Yes, I hope they launch a 45 f1.8 with weather sealing. I am going to buy that for sure. 75 f1.8 weather seal, that is also a must buy if they come out with that. So yeah, well, it's just giving them time. Give them time. So they are moving to the right direction, right? Where they have two small primes, 70 and 25, which are weather sealed. I wish it was the 45 though. That would be amazing. G-Time3 update says on the ZF it has two additional dials that can be set to aperture priority, shutter priority, ISO, and then the dials are just for the looks. Yeah, I mean, what's the point, right? Yeah. Yeah, I guess it shouldn't be nerfed. In a way, it's just a different camera. But the thing is that if they need to nerf it to bring the price down, it's also not a bad decision, because I'm not going to use the OM-3 for birding. It's just not the right camera. So I don't need 120 frames per second. I don't need the bird autofocus tracking. And all these new computational features are great. But if people want to spend more money, you can get them in the OM1, OM1 Mark II. So this basically priced the same. So why don't we have an option that's cheaper, say 1500 US dollars, that's significantly lower, but it doesn't have 120 frames per second. It doesn't have some of the computational photography like Live, Grad, Andy. It doesn't have all this, like, you know, all the amazing things that the OM1 or OM Mark II can do, right? The AI computational features. Yeah, I would be able to live with that, provided they can bring it lower, but give us better viewfinder, you know, give us better autofocus. I'm sure they can improve that as well, right? So yeah, let's get to the non-members chat. I am a little bit behind. It's 170 of you watching. Let's see, 179. That's a lot. Gordon says, pretty close to what most folks wanted in a small Micro Four Thirds. Now I want Panasonic to do the same, but based on the G9 Mark II. Overall good job, OM. I'm not sure if Panasonic still cares about, like, you know, they used to have this quite nice retro-looking GX7, GS8, or any of these cameras. They actually look quite good. Like, why did they abandon it? Doesn't make any sense, right? Not that I'm aware of, but I'm sure there's like, if OM system doesn't come up with it, third-party manufacturer is gonna do something, I'm sure. Yeah, of course, good for daily photography or street photography, travel, and not really vlogging though. That grip is gonna be a problem. Yeah, yeah, definitely. If they don't have it, then that will be one of the point of discussion, right? Scene Effect says, I was hoping for EP8, very happy with the EP7, so I will pass. But EP7 is a totally different camera, though. Like, I understand where you're coming from, but the OM-3 has electronic viewfinder, it has much improved image stabilization, it has the newer computational features. It's just a different camera. It's also weather sealed, whereas the EP7 isn't. So, yeah. Pentagram says, hi Robin, I have no idea what's the point of this camera. They focused on wildlife before, so now they want to mix the use with street. People expected a new sensor, seems it's too expensive for them. I don't expect a new camera that's designed for street to have a new sensor. It doesn't make sense. I would expect the flagship camera, say the OM-3, to have a new sensor. So I'm okay if they don't use a new sensor. And besides, the sensor that's used in the OM-3 is actually the sensor that's used in OM-1 and OM-2, which is relatively new. It doesn't have more resolution or better image quality, but at least it has the speed, right? So it's not necessarily a bad thing. Yeah. Henrik says, greetings from Copenhagen, Denmark. Hey Henrik, how are you? Sunny says, should be priced below 5,000 in Malaysia. Then you wouldn't have the internals of OM-1 Mark II, right? If you have the OM Mark II's internals, how can it be so much cheaper than OM Mark II? It doesn't make sense. And the last I checked, OM Mark II in Malaysia is 12,000 ringgit. So there you go. That's why I said it's fine if they remove the internals, not remove, but like use lower level internals. You don't need 120 frames per second. You don't need all this computational photography. You don't need bird tracking. God knows who's going to use the OM-3 for birding. It's going to be so uncomfortable, right? So you can remove a lot of these features, use older processor. It doesn't require so much processing power and still keep it price competitive, right? Bernd says, hello from Hamburg, Germany. Hey Bernd, how are you? Nice to see you here. Esmina says, price will drop over time and I expect some external grade like EM5. Yeah, either they're going to release it later or some third-party manufacturers like Small Rig is going to do something with the grip, right? We're just going to wait for things to happen. Sunny says for the price, I could just go for an OM-1 instead. But here's the mistake that a lot of people are making, right? Like people are saying, oh, you know, like for the price of the X100 Mark VI, I'm just going to go for the XT5. You know, I can change lens, it has this, it has that, the X100 Mark VI doesn't have. But look at S100 Mark VI, Fuji. It's selling like hotcakes. It's sold everywhere. People have money. Just because you don't think it's suitable for you, like for me, again, I'm not going to get an OM-3, I'm not going to get a Pen F. I'm not a fan of this type of retro look. I still prefer my cameras to look like a DSLR, it handles like a DSLR. Just because I have my preference doesn't mean that it will invalidate other people's choices. And look at the X100 Mark VI. It's just so out everywhere. It's doing so well despite the price. With that price, people can get XT5. Why not? XT5 is the flagship from Fuji, right? Or SH2, whatever, right? A price around $1,400 will be okay. That price will be okay if it doesn't have the OM Mark II's internals. I've said that. All right. 30% off. Looking at Malaysia, nah. Sunny says the OM-5 is under $50 currently, so basically it has become an entry-level camera. Looking at the internals of the OM-5, it better be an entry-level camera. It's quite outdated. Ish says, if the EVF was better, this would be perfect. Always compromises. Yeah, I thought like maybe bring down the, you know, we don't need 120 frames per second. We don't need the bird autofocus tracking AI. We don't need all these computational features. Use a slower processor. But give us a better electronic viewfinder. I think that's a good compromise for a travel street camera. And because it doesn't need the internals of OM-1 Mark II, maybe we can make the camera like 20% smaller. That will be so amazing, right? Yeah. Hey Andrew, how are you? Nice to see you here. Always happy to see you around, Andrew. Sunny says, I could live in OM-3 that had more compromises like the frames per second and a lower price. It just seems steep. Yes. I think a lot of people can forgive the OM-3 not having the same speed as the flagship camera, right? The OM Mark II. It just doesn't make sense because this is obviously not a flagship camera. Yeah, let's see if we have any members' comments. Usually we do. Andrew says, electronic viewfinder is the only thing that is a tad disappointing. Yeah, true. GTM3 Update says, OM-3 versus OM-1, I think you just answered that. Vanity of Retro isn't worth the extra 600 or 700. Not really, depends, because a lot of people love the looks, right? And if you are not a professional photographer, why would you want to handle such a beefy camera if you only use, say, 12 f2, 17 f1.8, and 25 f1.8, 45 f1.8, all the small primes, which I do. Maybe the smaller camera is more suitable to handle the smaller prime lenses, right? Why would you want to handle something so large, for example? We have a new member. Jeffrey, hey, how are you? Welcome to Photo Walk Buddies. Always a pleasure and always very thankful for the support that you guys are giving me. Thank you so much. Hope you stick around, Jeffrey. All right, let's see. All right. DW says, why make a camera so similar in performance and price to OM-2? Not a smart move. Yeah, that's why I mentioned an alternative where they don't use the processor and image sensor in the OM-1 Mark II, but they use the EM-1 Mark II's image sensor, which basically has the same image performance, image quality, by the way, dynamic range, high ISO resolution. And yeah, we don't need 120 frames per second. We don't need the bird tracking. And I don't think the OM-3 is going to be suitable for shooting birds. You can take away some of the computational features. You can take away, without these computational features like live grad ND and all this like super fast burst rate, you don't need such a fast processor. They can use an older processor, which can make things a lot easier, right? And it's not like they don't have these processors already. So it can, yeah, it's one of the solution to keep the price down and affordable and more accessible to more people. I'm going to read a few more comments. I will share my photographs. All right, we have a lot of comments. Keith says, so disappointed. Same electronic viewfinder of the OM-5, less than half the dots and magnification of OM-1. It's the reason camera ergonomics have evolved since 1976. Design this camera copied. I think there's nothing wrong with the ergonomics of this camera as long as you use small lenses, because a lot of these film cameras, they don't have this ginormous, you know, like 150 to 400 kind of lens, or even 100 to 400. Most people who used to film cameras back then, they use small lenses. So if you stick with just small prime lenses, which is what this camera is designed for, I think the ergonomics is fine. It's not a problem. It's only when you started using like 12 to 100 Pro or 40 to 150 f2.8 Pro, that's when you start to have problems handling the camera or balancing the larger, heavier lens on the camera. So I think the ergonomics is fine. But yes, the viewfinder part, I'm not expecting the OM-3 to have the same high resolution viewfinder as the OM-1 or OM-1 Mark II, but at least put in like 3.79 million dots viewfinder, which is better than whatever they have now, right? 2.3 something, which is quite pathetic, right? Considering that this is the same panel that have been used in the past 10 years. Yeah. Hi, KW from Hong Kong. Hey KW, how are you? In Hong Kong, market price for OM-1 is much cheaper than listed price of the OM-3 at the moment. I want to buy a camera. Should I buy OM-1 or OM-3? So are you a professional photographer? If you are, then OM-1 is a better solution because it has a beefier grip, so you can handle larger lenses better, assuming that you do use larger lenses for professional shoots. And OM-1 also has dual cut slots, which is a must for a lot of professional shooting today. I find myself using the cut slots, dual cut slots, not just to shoot RAW and JPEG. Sometimes the clients need JPEG instant delivery, but also for redundancy. So if I just shoot RAW, I at least have one card that is in backup in case one card fails. It's very important if you are a professional photographer. The fact that OM-3 doesn't have dual cut slots, it tells you that it is not a professional grade camera. It's not designed as a flagship, but it still can do a lot of things that the OM-1 or the OM-1 Mark II can do. So ask yourself this: are you a hobbyist or are you a professional photographer? Are you going to use the camera in a professional environment? It's as simple as that, right? Somebody says there could be another OM camera coming maybe second hour or Q2, quarter two, maybe. I don't know. Have you heard any rumors? I haven't heard of any rumors yet. Last chance for OM, I think they'll be around for a bit, and I think that OM-3 is going to generate some sales. It may not be like a huge hit, something that we see happening to the Fuji X100 Mark VI, where it's sold everywhere. I think the OM-3 will sell. It will generate some profit for OM system, and we'll see what they come up with next. What's the strategy? That will be quite interesting to witness as well. Yeah. Jeffrey says, I seem to remember that OM Digital Solutions purchased Olympus brand. They mentioned improving video specifications, but I'm not really seeing it that much. Yeah, unfortunately, if you want video-centric features, a video-capable micro four thirds camera, Panasonic is still the way to go. You can go for GH7 or G9 Mark II, where you can get a lot more feature sets and shooting capabilities out of the cameras, right, compared to OM system. Yeah, Andrew says, I think everyone here will agree that this might be the first true OM product that wasn't an Olympus project. Well, it's hard to say, hey, it's hard to say. We don't know for sure if this was not already in the pipeline during the Olympus time. Yep, it's very, very hard to say. Okay. Just a few more comments and then we'll go to the photographs. Terry says, same with 25 f1.4 Mark II, not labeled. Like, what's with that? Why? That's just weird. Yes, I love Petapixel Gordon. I think everyone loves Chris Nichols and Jordan Drake, right? Who doesn't love these two, the dynamic duo of the camera review world? Jack says, Robin, what is the model number of the lens? Mark 1 is H020. If I need to look at the model number to know what what version it is, then it's not my fault, right? They should have indicated 20, 1.7, 2. Easy as that, right? I don't have to look into the fine details. Like, who does that? Like, seriously. Cody says, I would have preferred to have tilt screen on this camera as street camera, which is also a complaint I had about the Pen F. The trend viewfinder isn't ideal, but I can live with it. I think the days of the tilt screen is over. These days, everyone is moving towards the swivel screen because they want the camera to be used as a hybrid camera in case some people want to use the camera to record videos for vlogging purposes or posting content on TikTok or Instagram Reels, right? It's just how it is. And YouTube is a huge thing. Everyone is doing YouTube these days. So having that swivel screen makes a huge difference, especially if you are a solo content creator like myself. I need to see myself on the screen. I can see myself on the screen and make sure that I'm centered. I'm not like sitting like that, or I'm too far away. I need to make sure I'm constantly there, right? So I think as long as the video is a thing, yeah, it's not going to go away. So unfortunately. All right, I'm going to put a pause here. I'm going to drink some coffee. It is 9 minutes past 11, and we'll start looking at the first set of photographs. We have 181 people watching, which is amazing. Okay. This set of photographs were taken in Kuching during my 2 weeks break. I could not go out a lot because it's been raining every single day. There was only one morning, which was a Friday. It wasn't raining at all. It was actually sunny, so I went out to do some street photography. There was also a Saturday afternoon where I went out with my friend Kieran Long. We went to Siniawan, which is a town about 45 minutes drive away from Kuching. We did some portrait photography. We got a beautiful model, Melanie, to pose for us in a red cheongsam for the theme of Chinese New Year. So yeah, here. These are not the complete set of photographs. Like I said, I've been busy today. I just got back at 2 o'clock in the morning. I reached my place. I slept at 3 this morning, woke up late. I need to go to the gym. I had a meeting with a client. I rushed back for dinner, and I have to set up for the stream already. I only managed to edit some photographs, and a lot of these photographs will be shown in the future videos where I do want to talk about the Olympus 75 f1.8 again, using this lens for portrait photography. That's why I was shooting portraits of Melanie in Kuching, in Cheongsam. And of course, I will make a video to talk about my experience shooting with this Panasonic GX7, which is a favorite amongst a lot of Micro Four Thirds shooters. A lot of people claim that this is one of the best street photography machine out there. Yeah, I'll share my experience using it during my trip back home in Kuching, both on the streets as well as shooting portraits of Melanie. So here are some of the photographs that I've taken. Let me just bring this up. Of course, I have to show you a bowl of kolomi. I think some people ask, how many bowls of kolomi have I consumed? The correct answer is, I don't know. I lost count. And there were days where I consumed multiple bowls, and there were times where I ate more than one bowl in one sitting. I went overboard, and I even had a doctor friend, Dr. Haris, who is also a member on this channel. He was giving me a warning, Robin, you should stop. But anyway, kolomi is so good. It's a type of pork noodles only available in Kuching, Sarawak. Well, generally Sarawak, not just Kuching. It's a very specialized dish. If you find it elsewhere, even in Malaysia, like in Kuala Lumpur, it just doesn't taste quite the same. So that's kolomi. Wait a minute. Let me just see. Yep. And this is some views of my hometown in Kuching. We don't have a lot of high-rise buildings because a lot of people made wrong assumptions. A lot of people think that, we don't have money for development and things like that. That's not true. The reason why we don't have a lot of high-rise buildings in the city is because the city is too close to the airport. So this is the air... What was that? I don't have the right terminology to describe this, but a simpler way of explaining this is that the aeroplanes coming down to the airport, because it's so near the city, the buildings are not allowed to be constructed higher than 30 floors. So because of that, all the buildings are very, very low for the safety of the aircraft. That's the only simple way that I can explain. There are correct terminology or technical terms which I cannot think of at the moment, right? It is late and I don't have enough sleep, so do forgive me. I'm basically running on coffee. So that's the Sarawak Plaza. Used to be a really, really famous shopping mall, but basically it's dead now. Yeah. And we do have a river, a Sarawak River, separating the city from the villages, the Malay villages across. And one of the popular way to get across the river, back and forth, is through the boats, or we call sampan. All right, it's motorized boats, so it's not like the person is paddling all the way. It's motorized. This is the quickest and easiest and the most popular way to cross the river. And we do have crocodiles in the river, by the way. Yes, that's a problem. We do have. And because of the recent floods, it's been flooding a lot. It has been raining non-stop in Kuching for the past 2 weeks. The water started to rise, and we do get to spot crocodiles at unlikely places that they usually are not supposed to be at. Anyways, just to tell you, if you are in Sarawak, just be careful. Don't play too near the river. There are crocodiles there. So this is an area at Padungan, near Benson Seafood. If you guys know if you are in Kuching, you know where it is. And the strange thing is that they have boats from the fishermen docking here, like right in the city, which is really cool. I've been here before. The last time I was here, I had the Panasonic LX10 and managed to get some really cool shots of these fishermen or boat people or people on the boat just chilling around, minding their own business. And they're all so friendly. They all look at me and I took the photographs. Of course, I asked, hand gesture if it's okay to take camera. They said, yeah, they gave me the thumbs up. So I took some photographs of them. But in this morning, there was only one guy, a very ripped, muscular guy. So just took some photographs of him from a distance. So yeah, at the river, I think they are going out to the sea in the afternoon to do some fishing. So yeah. And again, this is just a classic shot that I always do wherever I am, whether I'm Kuching or Kuala Lumpur or other cities, everywhere in the world. I just love colors, and whenever I see like colors matching colors, my hand gets unbearably itchy. I just want to click it. So matching colors, I just love it. So it's just something that I do anywhere I go. And portrait of a stranger. I love taking portraits. Just beautiful. And if you can see the rendering of this lens, is just amazing. This is the Olympus 25 f1.8. I just love this lens. I love that it's updated with weather sealing now, which is even more amazing. Can't wait to test the lens if I can. I'm not sure if I'm going to get the 25 f1.8. I know I'm not going to get the 17 f1.8 Mark II. So 25 f1.8 is a 50-50, but if there's a 45 f1.8 Mark II with weather sealing, I'm going to buy it like immediately, like right on. Pre-order or whatever, right? That's the lens that I want. But 25 f1.8, maybe. We'll see. This is Melanie. She's Bida Youth, and we got her to model for us at Sinyawan. I was with my friends Kiran and Nunong, both amazing photographers from Kuching, Sarawak. And Melanie wore red, which is in the same theme as Chinese New Year. For Chinese people like us, we love wearing bright red. So the first 3 days of Chinese New Year, I was in full red attire. It symbolizes luck, prosperity. It brings in good wealth and health, right? So it's just a Chinese belief. You don't have to believe it as well. It's just like a culture, tradition, things that we practice from our earlier days of our ancestors, right? That's Melanie. This was shot with the Olympus 75 f1.8, and I wish this lens is weather sealed. I think if there's a 75 f1.8 and a 45 f1.8 that's weather sealed, I'm gonna get these lenses first because I do use these lenses in somewhat outdoor locations or harsh conditions more than the shorter primes. So loving the bokeh of this lens. As you know, Olympus 75 f1.8, it renders some of the best bokehs. Some people say, oh, but the Sigma 56 f1.4 is better. Really? I look at it, it's like, not quite the same. Anyway, not dishing the Sigma's lens. It wasn't designed for Micro Four Thirds in the first place, so there's really no comparison. 75 f1.8 to me is definitely superior when it comes to the bokeh department. And there's just a very organic look of the lens. That is my complaint on the Panasonic 20 f1.7. If you have watched my video on Monday, I said that there's something unnatural about the lens. It's like there's no 3D pop. The rendering is just flat. The bokeh looks busy. It just doesn't have that natural, pleasing look. Whereas if you look at this photograph, it's smooth, it's natural, it's just organic. Everything just looks so pleasant. It just looks so natural. It looks real. It looks realistic, right? There's that three-dimensional rendering on this lens. So I know it's not fair to compare the 75 f1.8 to the 20. I'm just saying that there's something wrong with that lens. And I'm not alone in this. If you look at the comment section, a lot of people actually share the same opinion about that. Just a full body shot of Melanie dressed in red at Sun Yawan. This is the 5-foot way of the shop lots, which is pretty cool. It's quite a busy background. I intentionally put her in the busy background. I can't put her in a plain background, which is boring, because I also want to show the location, to show some context of where she is. And sometimes a busy background can work for you. It's not always bad. It's just how you compose the shot, how you make sure that the model or the subject that you're shooting stands out from that busyness, right? So one way to do that is use a long lens. This is obviously very long. It's 150 millimeters in equivalence to have that compressed background look, right? And that's Melanie sitting down. Even looking at how the lens handles highlights, this is a backlit situation. So she was actually severely backlit. I need to bring up the shadows. It's almost like what you call that silhouette shot, but not quite, but almost. She's very dark if I were to maintain the exposure in the background. But I was bringing up the exposure, balancing it against the bright background, and look at how the lens handles highlights. It's actually very pleasing. It's very soft. It's not distracting. The bokeh just looks so beautiful, right? That's why I love the 75 f1.8 so much. Every time I thought about switching over to full frame cameras, and every time I use this lens, it reminds me of how amazing Micro Four Thirds is. And this is one of the lenses that anchors me to Micro Four Thirds. That's why I was wishing that Olympus would update the 75 f1.8 with a weather sealed version, a Mark II version. This is the last shot of Melanie that I have in this series. I took a lot of shots, hundreds of shots, but I think I'll narrow down to maybe 15, 20 shots to share during when I'm talking about the 75 f1.8, why I love that lens so much in my future video. This is just 5 of them at different locations, different poses, some close-up, some full body, just a variety of range, right? And I intentionally put her here, and I did not desaturate the foreground and background. The colors are as is. I did not change the colors. The background is this faded wooden look. It's already it's an abandoned house, by the way, so the paint has chipped off. Everything is already desaturated by nature. So I did not even have to do any localized editing or separate the background and desaturate it. No, this color is as is. I did not change the color of this photograph. So I thought it's fun putting her, the bright skin color, which pops, as well as the bright red. It definitely jumps out of the frame. So it's the last shot of Melanie, and another bowl of Kolomi to cap off tonight's photo sharing. I only have one set. I wish I can share more because I did not have enough time to edit those photographs. I was rushing to prepare for this stream, and I have to read up as much as I can on the OM-3 and the new products, and I have to watch some and read some reviews as well to make sure I'm prepared for this stream. So yeah, just you will see more photographs from the streets of Kuching in my GX7 video coming out very soon. You'll see more photographs of Melanie shot with the 75 f1.8 in my coming video talking about the 75 f1.8 very soon. So do stay tuned for that. All right. Okay, that's all for the camera sharing. I forgot to drink water. It's already 22 minutes past 11. Let me drink some water and then coffee, and then I'll get back to the chat. I gotta stay hydrated. Hey. And coffee. Yeah, coffee. I'm a little bit behind the chat. Let me see if I have members chat. Okay. We have a few. Jeffrey says, I think the OM-3 might grow the base by appealing to a younger group. Not just a younger group, but people who are not necessarily looking for a traditional black, big box DSLR kind of camera, right? People who want something that looks more fashionable, looks more beautiful, right? Yeah, and I believe cameras should look beautiful. Okay, let's get to the chat. Suni says the SD5 can be had for around 500 euros less here, even lower with random cashbacks, and I simply cannot see newcomers to photography choosing the OM3 over that at the current pre-order price. But then the SD5's autofocus is horrendous. Who would want to use SD5 for anything serious? Like, even SD5 owners are complaining about the autofocus, like, seriously. Gordon says, our cameras are with the seal, our bodies are not. Nice, made me laugh. Maybe a slogan for OM. Well, they are fixing it now, so the lenses are, the prime lenses, at least the 17 and the 25 are weather sealed now, right? So things are getting better. BRP says, Happy Chinese New Year to you and your family, Robin. Happy Chinese New Year to you too. The camera looks very interesting. Tempted to get it later this year. Yeah, maybe get it a little bit later so there's some cashbacks or discounts. If you buy it now, of course, you're paying full price, right? Unless you want to be the first to get it. I understand if money is not an issue, then get it immediately, right? So he says, I will get that the OM1 is the same story here. OM1 can be had for 55% of what the OM3 is priced at with cashback. Spend the additional money on better glass. Like, if you see both cameras, they're actually very, very different. I wouldn't put them in the same category, but understand the value proposition of OM1 because it's a flagship camera. It definitely does a little bit more than what the OM3 can do. But OM3 is also a specialized camera, so I will bring your attention to maybe Ricoh GR3 or the Fuji X100 series, right? Like the Fuji X100 series, it costs more than the SD5, and yet people still buy the X100 series. It does less than SD5. SD5 can change lens, the X100 series cannot, so it doesn't make sense, right? But still, people are willing to spend money on that. So understand that the OM3 is not for you, but it doesn't mean that it's not for everyone else. You get what I mean? So yes, if you feel that the OM1 is more suitable for you, go for it. Like, no one is stopping you. Yeah. So it says, you have nearly as many viewers as on the original OM system introduction stream. Really? How many people did that get? Like, oh, they have a live stream? Like earlier today when it was launched, I was in a meeting with a client, so I had to watch everything like a few hours later, so I couldn't follow all the happenings live, right? So really, I have 206 people watching now, which is not bad. Number 6 says, very timely, Robin. I watched that English guy's review. English guys? Who English guy? Boy, has he aged. Really? Okay, I don't know who you're talking about, number 6. Anyway, OM3 seems reasonable even at high price because as Micro Four Thirds observe, it's a camera that does everything. Yeah, I think that's also the problem here. Like, I don't know why they put 120 frames per second there. I don't know why they put the bird detection autofocus. It's like, are you sure people are going to use the OM3 for birding? Really? And it seems like the camera is targeting the professional crowd as well, but then it has poor gripping area. I'm just going to be honest, and it has single cut slots, so it's not quite a professional grade camera. It's not quite a flagship. It's not quite a wildlife camera, but it's still trying to do all these things. So it's a little bit conflicted, right? I would rather it not do everything, but make it simplified and bring the price down, maybe $400-$500 cheaper. That will be a better strategy, right? That's just my comment. Of course, I think OM Systems, they've had their own internal discussions and the strategy planning. They know what they're doing, right? We just have to trust that the OM3 will sell and hopefully generate some profit, and then OM System will continue to give us better and better cameras in the future. Jack says, I had the original OM3 film camera and love the retro look, but prefer the newer ergonomic design. Yeah, like, I get it. It looks nice, but it's not functional, right? Like, I prefer the beefier grip of a proper DSLR, right? It's just, like, if you are a professional photographer, you know what I'm talking about. It's like the handling is extremely important, right? And Olympus got it right in the EM1 Mark II, EM1. The gripping area is just so beautiful. Indian River says, Robin, you rock. Your opinion is always non-biased. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And nice seeing you here. John says, too expensive for M42? It's Micro Four Thirds. I think expensive or not, it's not something that is easily quantified or easily judge because, hey, look at, I personally think that the Fuji X100 Mark VI is overpriced. I think it's crazy expensive for a fixed lens camera that's not small. I wouldn't use that for street photography, and for such a lousy lens with such soft results and such horrible autofocus, I think the camera is really, really inferior to even Micro Four Thirds options now today. But hey, you know, it's expensive. The camera is not that great, but people buy it. You know, if it's really very expensive, it's really overpriced, why is the sales doing so well? Think about it. So yeah, who are we to say the camera is expensive or not, right? If the camera is too expensive for you, it doesn't mean it's too expensive for everyone else, right? Terry says, sales will rocket when Taylor Swift is seen with one. I doubt so. Sorry if I'm offending anyone, I'm not a fan of Taylor Swift, so I don't think any of my friends love her as well. We are not, I mean, she's huge, I know, she can drive sales, but I think there's a limit of how much the fans are willing to go for her. If it's a product that she creates, like her CD, her album, her cosmetic products, or her anything, right? Like her shirt, or her fashion line, or if she comes up with sneakers, or her coffee line, for example, whatever she does, if it's Taylor Swift branded, I think the super fans, the Swifties will go for it, but this is not affiliated to Taylor Swift. It's not like she's the ambassador or anything. It's not like she's saying good things for the camera. Just because she uses something doesn't mean that the fans will jump on it, right? But I could be wrong. We'll see. Andrew says, oh, let's talk about a joystick. Who really cares? It's crazy. Rather like America not buying cars that don't have enough cup holders. Are we buying a transport device or a sofa and side table? That's the thing, right? Everyone wants something that has everything, right? And that has become a problem because I believe a product should be more streamlined. It should be more specific and targeted to a certain audience, and then it will be more effective in that particular use case scenario, right? But these days, everything is just trying to do everything, and it's a problem. Jack says, I'm not a big fan of the OM-3 power switch buried on the left, so it will take 2 hands to turn on and off. Then you can customize it to the 1-2 switch, which is at the thumb area. Not a problem. Almost all newer OM system cameras has the 1-2 switch at the thumb rest area, near the thumb rest area. So if you find any of the on-off location not convenient, you can easily switch over to that 1-2 area as an on-off switch. Yeah, that's a minor... It's not even an issue once you have set it up. Like, you can easily reach it on your thumb, right? Like, it shouldn't even be a complaint. Yeah. Sune says, I'm also waiting for a true replacement for the EM5 Mark II. Mine is still rocking solid. Well, there's OM5. So, Esmina says, another question is, if we can expect another camera from OM soon, like EPL replacement or EM10, I would say OM10. Somehow they're riding on the OM line, right? I don't think they're going to go for the EPL line anytime soon. Jack says, how much did the red eye flight cost? It was 200 plus ringgit. So 200, let's say it's 250 ringgit to USD. I think about, how much of the conversion? 35 US dollars. So yeah, one way. Photox BR says, hello Retro, I already owned the OM4 a long time ago. Good for you. Linda says, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too, Linda. Nice to see you here. Jared says, EM1 and all are still only 20 megapixels. Client wants 20 megapixels as minimum. OM sells and prides the camera as a pro camera, so there you go. No, clients want, if you work for larger photo agencies, they want 24 megapixels. And this is also, has been true, not just for me, but also for Jimmy Chang from Red 35. Not 20, but 24. And yes, 20 is enough if you're not doing anything professional, anything serious. Like for my street photography, how many megapixels do I really need, right? And for my personal projects, 20 is still plenty. I don't need more than that. Even for my client works, I rarely need anything more than 20 megapixels. But the reality is people are moving on and people want more resolution for all kinds of different reasons. And who are we to say that, hey, well, if you don't want me, then go and find another photographer, and they will. And that's when photographers like us die and we lose jobs. Mysterious Boost says, I'm kind of worried about OM-3. Personally, I wish for a new Pan F, and objectively, it will be perceived as a Fuji competitor. Doesn't matter if it's true, that perception will be there. I think OM-3 is going to be perceived as a Fuji competitor, right? Even if it's a Pan F or OM-3, it will be a competitor because of the retro look and styling, and it's not a bad thing, right? And I don't see why this is a bad thing. If it's a competitor, then why not? Yeah, and it's about time where OM System looks into their own legacy, their history of amazing film SLR cameras, and do something about it and create a truly beautiful camera that will sell well. Why not? Chrissy says, yes, there is the retro look, but I see no reason to change from my OM-5. Sure, if you don't have to change, then don't change. Nobody is asking you to, right? I think the OM-3 is appealing to a different target group, and there's a whole wide world of photographers out there which they can target, right? Like, I'm not one of the target audience of the OM-3, but I'm not saying that, hey, you know, I don't like this is bad. No, just because I don't use that camera of this, that camera is not for me, I will not say it's a bad camera, right? Yeah, Corey says, hey Robin from Indiana, US. Hey Corey, how are you? Sunday says, maybe expensive pre-book or early adopter price, little reduced quite a bit. Hopefully the price will come down. Who knows, right? Let's see if we have any members' comments. We have Jeffrey says, I have really appreciated your live shows, Robin. Thanks for doing this more often. I always learn something. Thank you so much, and thanks for being here, Jeffrey. I'm not doing this more often, right? I've been doing the same like once every week. Nothing changed. But now that you're a member, I think you will have one extra live stream every month, just members only. I see Rob Trey is in the house. Just now I was scrolling. Hey Rob, how are you? Hey Robin, sorry I overlapped your stream. I stopped and told everyone to meet me here. Oh, you were streaming as well. Don't worry, man. You don't have to apologize, Rob. Oh, come on. If you're streaming, then just stream. No worries. I guess I've already set my time slot. It's always at this same time every Thursday. I guess I haven't changed my time slot. But if you or Jimmy or anyone decides to stream, because I understand that the OM-3 is a hot topic and we have to talk about the topic while it's hot, right? It's like a hot noodle soup. Once it's cold, it's different. Even if you reheat the soup, it doesn't taste the same, right? Yeah, hot dish is meant to be served hot. So if you need to do your stream, hey, please go ahead. I mean, I'm not here to say or do anything. But I'm glad you're here. And Rob, I'm really looking forward to our stream on, was it 23rd of February? Yep, 23rd. Yeah, it's going to be like 2 or 3 weeks from now. And we're going to have like a meetup part 2 with some other amazing Micro Four Thirds YouTuber. Can't wait to do that and see everyone and get inspired by all the other content creators and photographers as well. So yeah, thanks for being here, Rob. Really nice seeing you. All right, let's get back to the other chat. Let's see. I'm really behind, so let me. I will have to speed up my responses, right? So do bear with me. Gerard says they sell the OM-3 as a pro camera meant in their official release. It's not a pro camera, I don't think so. If it's a pro camera, then it will have a beefier grip and dual cut slots. So having a single cut slot disqualifies it as a pro camera. Thank you so much, Corey. I appreciate that. Mushin says this is a coordinated attack from Olympus System yesterday. What attack? What attack? I'm a bit lost here. Gerard says client doesn't care whether it looks silver black as long as it delivers. Not really though. Like some clients would prefer you to have something that looks serious. Like you have to look the part as a serious photographer, right? If you carry something that looks like a toy, then you know you lose immediately, even without. You don't even have a chance to show your work, right? So yeah. Mushin says, wise man show you the sky, the idiot watch the camera. All right, Levi Elliot says, I'm in Indiana too. All right, nice seeing you here. David says, welcome back, Robin. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be back. I think OM-3 is both hit and miss. Hit, nice size, good computational photography, targeting street photography, means high price, 20 megapixels isn't competitive, few need more, but the market wants it. Yes, I agree that the high price is a problem. Definitely a huge problem here, especially if you want to target people who actually have options. There's a buffet of options out there. Nikon ZF, Fuji X100, Mark 6, right? The retro-looking cameras. We are not lack of this retro-style cameras out there today. But I think 20 megapixels is fine. It may not have enough pixels for professional work, but I don't think OM-3 is designed for professional work. So yeah. So it says like I made a grip for iPhone. No way, man. Something I don't have. First of all, I don't have iPhone. Second of all, I will never be able to afford anything from Leica. Like seriously, like come on. I'm wearing something. I'm wearing a 5 ringgit shirt, wearing a free cap, And like, look at my setup. I'm like a poor photographer here, frugal photographer. Lena says, nothing better than a detailed, thorough review when you're looking for a new or used camera. A tiny thing many people don't care about might make a huge difference for me. Yeah, I think that's the problem these days with a lot of reviewers. They are rushing the reviews. They don't have enough time with the product, whether it's a camera or lens. They just make a quick run through. They test it once or twice, and then they rush the production of the video. It seems like the priority is not the review of the camera. The priority is how professional the review looks. The video production is the thing that they try to get right instead of the reviews, so which is troubling. A lot of these reviews, they look so polished, so professionally shot with all the B-rolls, the slow motion, the amazing lighting, everything, with the nice talking hop, with amazing audio. It's like Hollywood movie, right? Watching these reviews. But then again, it's like when you really watch it and listen to what they say, it's like they didn't even spend enough time with the camera or lens, which is one of the big problems that I see these days, right? It's like the video quality matters more than the review. Like what? No. When I watch a review, I don't care about the video production. Of course, the audio has to be okay, it's comfortable enough to listen, and it looks a little bit professional, that's fine, but I want to hear your opinion, right? So yeah. So it says it has USB-C, so I guess that counts why it's 100% more expensive than OM-5. But it's different camera though, you can't really compare. And the fact that it's OM-3, it sits higher than OM-5, so of course it's going to be priced higher than the OM-5. Andrew says, is this dust cover image supposed to indicate that OM-3 is so retro? It's been in the cupboard since 1976. What kind of dust is that? It's the red soil, like crazy sand, right? My goodness, what kind of cupboard has that kind of red soil sand, like crazy? David says, I saw one review say they only like the JPEGs and not the raw images. That's absurd. If you can like the JPEG, you will like the RAW, because the RAW captures more information than the JPEG anyway. You can turn the RAW into JPEG. Like, that makes zero sense to me, right, David? Chris says, oh yes, okay, you guys are talking to each other, no worries. Gordon says, now if OM had sent you a model on a loan to test, it would have been better photos to show than theirs. But then again, like, I'm not free the past 2 weeks, right? Like, I was away for Chinese New Year and celebrating with my family, which is the most important thing for us Chinese people. And during my break, which I really need that 2 weeks break. If you would take that away from me, I would be very miserable, right? So yeah, sorry about that, Gordon. But yeah, but then again, we are not lack of capable reviewers today. And as much as I want to review the camera, I don't think I can do a better job than the other reviewers. Some of them come to mind, like Chris Nichols and Jordan Drake. Like, come on, this dynamic duo, like they have been the golden standard of camera reviews since many years ago. I still watch them religiously whenever there's a new product coming out, whether it's Micro Four Thirds or not. Yeah. Captain Webb says, great camera at a fair price, but where is the entry-level Micro Four Thirds with usable specs? To the XM5 Fuji, there must be an entry drug to Micro Four Thirds mount for smartphone users wanting to upgrade. I hope that's coming. Hey, we are in February, right? It's still early in the year, so maybe there's something else in the pipeline from OM system that we are not aware of. So hey, let's not judge them too quickly, just give them a little bit more time, right? The fact that they have a new camera now, OM-3, which looks beautiful, is a huge thing, and I believe it's a step towards the right direction. Terry says, the reason for the stack sensor is to allow better use of electronic shutter. I think they've done the right thing. We'll see the higher megapixel sensor in the OM-1 Mark III. The electronic shutter in the EM1 Mark II, EM1 Mark III is already so fantastic. And it's actually one of the better implementations in the market. It is so fast, it has minimal rolling shutter, and it's just so amazing already. You can do 60 frames per second with EM1 Mark II. There is no slouch with electronic shutter, 60 frames per second, right? So I don't mind, we don't have 120 frames per second. 60 frames per second is also not a bad thing, right? And the silent shutter was already, I mean, if you have used the Pro capture mode on the EM1 Mark II, EM1 Mark III, EM1X, you will know that this electronic shutter, you don't need the latest processing power. It was already so good back then. Like, I wouldn't use 120 frames per second unless I'm shooting birds or any quick action, which I think the OM-3 is not designed for, by the way. So he says, the Sony ZV-1 point and shoot has better autofocus tracking than the OM-1s. There you go. That's my problem with the OM system, right? Like, why can't they get the autofocus right? It is not impossible. If Canon, Nikon, and Sony can do it, well, Fuji sort of miss. I think Fuji's doing worse than OM system, so we're just going to leave them out. If Sony, Canon, and Nikon can do it, why can't OM system get it right? It's not impossible, right? And that would have changed the game altogether. This side to our screen says, I woke up this morning with a barrage of OM-3. I like what I saw and heard. Retro styling was pretty. Price was a bit high, but understandable. Bravo OM systems. Yeah, I think it's definitely... I'm happy that they announced the OM-3. I'm happy that we get a beautiful looking camera, although it's on the higher price side of things. But hey, maybe this is not the only camera that I have this year. Who knows? We'll see, right? Yeah. Clement says... hope OM-3 will be a success, so more interesting releases will be flowing. Yes, they do need a win, right? They do need a camera that sells well and generates some income and profit so they can use this money to fund the R&D research for our future products, whether it's OM-1 Mark III or whatever, OM-10, anything, right? We need, or OM-5 Mark II or something else, right? So yeah. Yeah, I'm not against Fuji. I just feel that the autofocus is just bad. Like, I don't know, like if you've used the camera, you just find it so unreliable. Jack says, the optical viewfinder on the OM film cameras was the best of the day. I love to have the digital full-frame Olympus DSLR that could use original OM mount lenses. Well, DSLR days are over. Olympus already announced that they have exited making DSLRs, and the remaining DSLR manufacturers like Canon and Nikon are also moving on already. Canon moving on to the RF mount and Nikon moving on to the Z mount, right? So I don't think we're gonna see, the only one that's stuck with DSLR is Pentax. So yeah, if you want optical viewfinder, then maybe you should go to Pentax. That's not a bad option either. Yeah, I'm starting to think that I'm not able to reply to every single comment. But I will try my best. I will try my best, all right? Okay, let's see. Where were we? I may need to drink more water. Just give me a moment. Okay, I'll do my best to get through every single comment, right? Terry says, Pan-F in a half case or grip is fine. It will be similar to for the OM-3. But they are both different cameras, right? And like the Pan-F is not weather sealed. OM-3 is weather sealed. The Pan-F doesn't have quite an effective image stabilization. The OM-3's image stabilization is so much better. Even in terms of speed and autofocus, there's like new tracking algorithm and everything, and newer computational photography that the Pan-F doesn't have. But if Pan-F is good enough for you, then of course, stay with it. There's no reason to upgrade. Cupcake Bunny says, I do prefer the more beefy grip on the modern cameras. It always throws me for a loop, and I grab a classic film camera, give me my EM1X or Z6 Mark II with better grip every day. Yeah, for professional use, if you are holding the camera for an extended period of time, the larger gripping area makes a huge difference. Right? So he says, would the internals of the OM Mark I have yielded a lower price on OM-3? The internals of OM Mark I and internals of OM Mark II are basically the same anyway. Terry says, can't compare OM-3 to X100 Mark VI as Fuji has a lens not the same. But they're about the same price, right? During launch. I'm not comparing, I'm just saying they're about the same price and people have options. So why am I comparing this is because the Fuji X100 Mark VI, while it's priced so high, people are willing to buy. So here we are complaining that OM-3 is so expensive, all right? But people are willing to buy the X100 Mark VI. If they are willing to go for it, I'm sure there is a market for OM-3 at the current price point. It's not ideal, but I still think that it will sell. That's the only thing that I'm comparing. I'm not saying that these cameras should be compared. I'm just saying that if people can buy, it's sold everywhere, the X100 Mark VI, there is a chance for OM-3, right? Tiramid says, OM-3 spec is what OM-5 is supposed to be, but the OM-5 was released before the OM Mark II? So how can the OM-5 have the OM Mark II's flagship internals? It doesn't make sense. The flagship has to come out first and then the OM-5, right? OM-5 is not a flagship. Captain Webb says, wonder how many seals would not be needed if the user interface would go in the direction of a Leica TLCL line or half effect dials. The body could be much smaller. I wish the body is smaller, maybe not much smaller, like maybe like 15-20% smaller, like the Pan-F size. It's a little bit bigger than the Pan-F, then it would have been perfect, right? Levi says, I kind of think the sort of people who already see the benefits of micro four thirds also realize that 20 megapixels is almost always enough. 20 megapixels will surely prevent a lot of new micro four thirds adapters though. Not necessarily, depends on what you are shooting for. If you're making casual videos for TikTok and Instagram Reels and you want a camera that looks flashy and beautiful, I think OM-3 is just perfect, right? With image stabilization benefit, with all the latest video features as well. But the camera itself, I would argue that if you are professional, no question, you need more than 20 megapixels. But if you are not, then I don't understand. If you're just posting for Instagram, Facebook, or even a web page, right, or a website, how many megapixels do you really need? Like, seriously. Lens hood thread. Yeah, I can put lens hood on that. T-Dunster says, new 25mm is supposed to be metal, not plastic. I hope it is. I hope it is. Captain Webb says, but will OM systems include a lens hood or sell separately? They'll sell separately. Tiramid says, it's good time to get used OM1 in the market. Yeah, if only they fixed the autofocus, which they did not. Richard says, the OM1 was only $1,000 the other day on OM website. Oh, that's quite a good deal. Anastas says, I still don't get this complaint against OM1. I'm shooting constantly with OM1 and EM1 Mark III, and OM1 is miles away from EM1 Mark II. Faster, better F, so much better camera in general. Not really. I think EM1 Mark II is more reliable in autofocus. Anastas, I think you have missed a lot of my videos that I've made. I'm just going to put one out there in case you have missed it. Let's see. Okay, where is this? Okay. I made 3 videos, by the way, to address this issue. So I'll just show you one, Anastas. OM1's low AF. It affects my work, especially in low contrast, low light situation. The autofocus in the EM1 Mark II, perfect. So I'll tell you an incident, what happened, Anastas. I was shooting a stage, and it's fairly low light, but nothing impossible. So I was using ISO 3200, for example, at f1.8. And I was trying to shoot something that's very far away. So I was using the 40-150 f2.8 Pro lens on the OM1. And the stage started to produce this smoke effect, the haze thing. So it's very low contrast. I only have about less than 1 minute to shoot that singer. So there's one singer all the way at the back of the stage. There's smoke all around her. The OM1 with the 40-150 f2.8 Pro failed to focus. I tried the human face, didn't recognize the face. I tried single autofocus, cannot. I tried the continuous autofocus, cannot. It gave me all blur photographs. So I have remaining, so I tried everything in the first 30 seconds. So the remaining 30 seconds, you know what I do? I took out the 40-150 lens, took my, at that time I have my EM5 Mark III, put the 40-150 EM5 Mark III, turn it on, bam, I got 2 shots. 2 shots of that singer. And you know what? Those shots were printed by my client and displayed large in the office. If it was the OM1, I would have gotten nothing. Don't tell me that I have to switch to manual focus, because if I have to use manual focus using OM1, I would throw that camera away, like seriously. So that happened. That was not the only time. There was another time where it just fails to recognize the face, the human face and eye detection. It just completely fails to, it was my friend Bichu. It was just so weird. I have to use single autofocus, and the single autofocus I've tested in various situations is just so bad. Like, EM1 Mark II can get it immediately, whereas the OM1 just fails again and again and again and again. It's just, ugh! Like, I miss shots in my professional shooting environment. It costs me dearly, and I'm not gonna use that camera again for any serious shoots. So there you go. That's one video showing that situation. And yeah. So coming back to the other comments. All right. Okay, I'm really behind. So this was Anastas' comment. Captain Webb says, a small APL and GF1, GS1's weather suit body with those lenses, a dream hopefully, which come true someday. Maybe someday. Anastas says, I agree that it was not necessary to put super fast stack sensor camera like OM-3, but this is the best micro four thirds sensor currently. The image sensor that is used in the OM1, OM-2 has the exact same dynamic range, exact same high ISO performance as the EMR Mark II. It's verified by Petapixel, it's verified by DP Review. I don't know if you have different data, and feel free to challenge DP Review's comparometer, which is a pretty cool place to test and compare the image quality. And yeah, I mean, feel free to challenge them, right? Who am I to challenge their data? Levi says, I might have to trade my 270 f1.8 copies to get one of these new ones, and out with the second from the NIB EP5 kit. New inbox. All right, found last year. That's amazing. Tierra Mate says, I love OM1 because I like to see Olympus brand on my camera body. Yeah, that's the last camera with the Olympus brand on it, right? Silver says, sorry for the price, better to get Fuji XM5. But the XM5 is such an inferior camera compared to OM3 though. No image stabilization, poor handling, horrible autofocus to boot, no electronic viewfinder. Do you need me to go on? Like, the camera is just... The fact that it doesn't have fire assist image stabilization is such a put-off already. Any camera today should have image stabilization. Prosty says, I've been wanting the 25 for a while, but I'll probably get the Mark II when I can. Yeah, the 25 Mark II has the... definitely, it will give you much better use, wider use case scenario. Right? You can shoot in the rain, no problem. T. Dunster says, I'll be grabbing the 25 f1.8 to put on my EM1 Mark II, and that will be my fun non-work camera. That's amazing. Richard says, I own a ZF and like how ZF implements both retro control dials and also PSM fast adjustments wheels on camera. As a sucker for retro design, I'm very interested in the OM3, especially how light it is. Yeah. I don't really care about the retro dials. I rather have the dual dials, which also the ZF allows if you prefer to shoot it that way. All right. Hello 3 fan says, hey Robin, should I get a silver titanium colored skin wrap for the OM1 to make it look more casual for street photography so I don't need to buy an OM3? Just use it as it is. I'm sure it's fine. And then says, where is the OM2? The old OM2 is a very capable camera at the time. Maybe the next flagship is the OM2. Yes, I hope OM can improve focusing at least on par with the Canon R3. Yeah, it's like if you have used anything from Sony, Canon, and Nikon, you realize that the autofocus on the OM1 and OM-2 is just so much behind, right? Like, I wish they do something to at least closing the gap and not be so far left behind. Captain Webb says, OM3 compared the Nikon ZF or Fuji SD5 looks really good. Price very competitive, and with the new lenses, no competition for those how want the peace of mind of weather sealing. Yes, if you really need to use the camera in harsh conditions, I think OM system will still have an edge. The weather sealing is definitely way ahead of what the competition is doing. Edwin says, I think that if the OM3 had a small hole on the flat front for the screwing grip, like the old Nikon film cameras, I'm going to hesitate to purchase it. I think you'll need to do like attachment from the bottom. I'm sure if OM system doesn't come up with their grip attachments, third-party grips will be available soon, whether it's from Smorrig or anyone else, right, out there. People making the grips, yeah. Let's get to the members chat. Okay. Jeffrey says, I shoot both Sony and OM, and I know the Sony A1 and A7 R5 I own are better or stickier continuous autofocus than OM1, especially in video. But the bottom line is OM1 at 50 frames per second, continuous autofocus gets more keepers than Sony. Yeah, I don't shoot at 50 frames per second. Like, I do video a lot, so that you can see, well, I'm YouTube, right? Video. You can see how autofocus matters more to me on video. And also, like, I just needed to follow people like successfully, and they don't. They are not sticky enough, right? Like, you know how sticky Sony is. I don't shoot 50 frames per second. It's just ridiculous. Like, if I were to shoot 50 frames per second, imagine how many photos I have to go through. At the end of the day, it's just going to be a burden. It's just going to be a problem. I'd rather have 5 frames per second and 100% hit rate, right? Yeah. G103 after that says, if they made a Pen F Mark II, I will be pre-ordering. OM3 isn't retro enough, ironically, to pull me from the ZF and EP7. How I wish for my EP7 to have an electronic viewfinder. Yeah, well, they designed that line, the pen line, to not have electronic viewfinder. That's already like a decision they made since day one. If you want a viewfinder, then it's always the OM-D series camera. So now it's OM. So OM-3 has the H1 viewfinder. But yeah, I think ZF and EP7, they have beautiful retro styling as well, right? I'm not disagreeing with that. Jeffrey says, Robbie is right about OM1 autofocus on human faces versus EM1 Mark II and EM1 Mark III. Not sure why they have this problem. They also sometimes happen with other brands with stacked sensors. Is it a stacked sensor problem? I don't know. I just feel that it's not good enough. Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't do wildlife, so, and even if I do, I don't see any wildlife photographers earning much of a living here in Malaysia, so it's definitely not the problem, right? So yeah. Okay. Time check. It's almost midnight, and there are still so many people to respond to. My goodness. Okay, I'm gonna speed up my response. Terry says the only thing about OM3 that is disappointing is that it's trying to viewfinder resolution and the launch price. Once discounted, it'll be a great buy. OM1 in the UK was being heavily discounted recently. Yeah, hopefully the price will come down and it'll be more attractive, right? Thomas says $2,000 for a 20 megapixel camera with no film simulation and a lousy 2.4 million dot electron viewfinder. For $400 less, you can get a Fuji X100 Mark VI, or $200 less, you can get an objectively better Nikon ZF. The pricing is insane. I do agree the pricing is a little bit on the high side, but I also understand why they do it, because it has OM1 Mark II's internals. If it's too cheap, then it will devalue the OM1 Mark II. Film simulation, nah, gimmick. Screw film simulations, it's useless. Andrew says, surely the discount is on the OM1 Mark I, not the Mark II. Yeah, I'm not sure which one you're referring to. Cupcake Bunny says, I'm more of a fan of the twin dial setup. I used the old setup with my film cameras. I often miss the dual dials. I know, right? Yeah. Esmina says, agree, retro dials are ugly. We no longer have shutter limited to 5 seconds, 0.5 seconds to 1/500. Like 40 years ago, it's hard to mark 60 to 1/8000. I know, right? So definitely the roller is far superior. I agree. Yeah. The left dial is necessary with only 3 options. I think dedicated dials for video and photo is important because it stores the video and photo settings separately. So that definitely has to be somewhere. If it's not at the left, it has to be somewhere, right? The on-off switch is questionable, but you can relocate it to the 1-2 dial. So yeah. Richard says, the point of ZF is you can have the tactile analog camera experience if you want, or the modern convenient control scheme. The point is, I don't need the tactile thing, is just useless for me. C-Line says, I bought a used EM5 Mark III as a second body recently, and the OM3 has me already seriously thinking about replacing it. Well, if you have the budget, just replace it, no problem, right? Yeah. Cupcake Bunny says, my complaint about the EM1X or anything with dual dials and no top screen is that you can't just look down and see any aperture shutter at a glance. On my Nikon D and Z6 Mark II, the top screen is great. Yeah, that could be something that can be implemented as well. I think we do need the top plate. Well, G9 Mark II has it. I think the GH7 has it. Does it? Oh no, G9 Mark II doesn't have it. The G9 Mark I has it. I don't know why they remove it. That's kind of sad, isn't it? Yeah. Fortito says, hey Robin, that $2,000 USD price tag is way too much for me. I'm more interested in the new pan cameras anyway. Well, it seems like the pan camera is not happening. Whatever that is supposed to happen in the Pan F Mark II is now on the OM3. So there you go. Anasa says the EVF is a little disappointment, but I can live with it. Poor EVF and a great battery is the better option than a great EVF and a poor battery. For me, more important is the lack of the joystick. Yeah, I've talked about this earlier on. I don't care about the joystick. I can use the touchscreen to move the focusing point to wherever I want it to be, and that's a lot more efficient based on my workflow. The joystick's still like a little bit tricky. Yeah. Richard says, greeting from Nebraska. I think the entire point of OM3 is versatility as a personal camera, documenting everyday life, family moments, anything you come across. Plus, it's stylish. I agree. It's definitely not meant or designed to be used in a professional environment. Cupcake Bunny says, the total size problem was why the M1X was such a huge problem. I love my M1X, but it's the same size as some of my double grip Nikons. The lenses for my regular focal lengths are the same size. Yes, and that's the reason why it did not do well, and it sort of got discontinued, and I don't think OM system will ever do that ever again. It was a failure because it's too big. If I were to... The thing about Micro Four Thirds is it's supposed to be making small cameras, small lenses, and yet they can perform really well. But when you have such a big camera, then what's the point? I'd rather use a full frame camera, right? Shunta says, no matter how many times I look at it, OM-1 film version is cooler than the OM-3. Of course, nothing replaces the original, right? Definitely. Chris Sarfin says, the viewfinder killed it for me when it's $2,000. Yes, I know, right? At that price, I expected better viewfinder. It may not be the same viewfinder as the OM-1, OM-1 Mark II, but maybe like the 3.7 million dot kind of viewfinder rather than using the 2-point-something million dot, which is kind of sad. Richard says, I own a ZF and I love it. Outstanding camera. I think a lot of ZF owners also love their ZF camera, right? I think the appeal of the OM-3 is the much lighter, more portable, weather-sealed camera with much of the same appeal, except more expensive than the ZF. I know, right? If it's priced lower than the ZF, then the ZF will be in trouble, right? But it's more expensive than the ZF, then yeah, you can justify by saying that, oh, it's faster, it has this, it has that, it's computational photography, live grad Andy, but then those things, honestly, are not really that important, right? To a lot of people. So yeah. Hey Ben, how are you? Benjamin Chappell is in the house. The Nerabin channel says, hey Robin, I'm waiting to get the PET scan, though I would say hi. Oh, I hope everything goes well with you. Hey, it's been a while since we touched base, and yeah, you missed the last stream with Rob Trek. We missed you there. We thought you would come online. I was looking forward to seeing you sharing your thoughts on your Micro Four Thirds work and in that stream. So yeah, I hope you're well, Ben. Ben says, I do have one of these cameras, so I will have a lot to say in my channel. All right. Looking forward to that. KK Theo says, it is so much cheaper in Japan. Map cameras sell the OM-3 kit and 1240 f4 Pro at ringgit 7,800. OM-3 body at, just about 7,000 ringgit. All right. I hope the price is about the same in Malaysia. I haven't checked the pricing in Malaysia. Ben says, biggest takeaway I have is that it packs just about everything the OM-1 has into a smaller body. It was something I thought would not happen. Yeah, but that also brings up the price, right? Which is now the problem that everyone is not really happy with, give and take. So I don't mind it not having the same internals as the OM-1, OM Mark II, but you know, like have better viewfinder, better autofocus. That will be a better compromise and bring the price maybe about $500 down. That will be a better solution. But anyways, it's already released. We can just keep talking about what ifs, but it's not going to happen, right? Anastas says, all the AI features are just software. It's not going to be cheaper if they remove that. All the processor is an option, but we don't know if it can handle the new sensor. We don't need a new sensor. The new sensor doesn't give anything extra. Still the same resolution, it's 20 megapixels. Same dynamic range, same highs of performance. We have so many tests to justify and prove this already, right? There's zero improvement with the new sensor. So the question is, if you're not going to use the new processor, why use the new sensor? Just use the older sensor, right? Sweden says, hi Robin, good to see you. Good to be seen. I slowly fall in love with this camera. It has better electronic viewfinder than the Pan F. No, it has the same electronic viewfinder as the Pan F, but slightly larger magnification and way more functions than the lovely Pan F. Yes, because it's a newer camera, so of course newer autofocus algorithm, newer image stabilization, it's weather sealed. Everything. It has better computational features as well, right? Clement says, OM-3 must be the replacement for OM-5 in Europe, I suppose, because of the USB. No, it's not a replacement. The fact that the number is 3 means that it sits higher than the OM-5 and it sells more expensive than the OM-5. Time check, it is 5 minutes past midnight. Let me drink more water to stay hydrated and then some coffee, and then I'll just reply to as many comments as I can before we wrap up for the night. I have to stay hydrated. How many people we have now? We still have 200 people watching. That's a lot. It's a hot topic, I guess. OM-3. I'm gonna drink more water. Coffee, I mean. Okay. See if there's any members chat. I'm starting to think I will not be able to reply to everyone's comments, but I will do my best. I will do my best. It seems like a promise I cannot keep. But let's see. Herbert says, I totally agree with you. They should have used the sensor and focusing from the EM1 Mark II or Mark III and then bring the price down. Welcome back and Happy New Year. Thank you so much, Herbert. Happy New Year to you too. Richard says, as a ZF user, I do want the OM-3. Latter, more portable, nice retro looks, and it's also weather sealed, but not for $2,000. For $1,000, I'll buy one. But $1,000 is not going to be possible, right? Like, if it's weather sealed, it's, it has all these nice features and everything. I don't think it's gonna be $1,000, maybe $1,500. Yeah. Student says, what I lack in this camera is, well, the Pan-F small electronic viewfinder despite lower resolution. Apart from that, I only lack the grip thread from my original OM-3. I love that. Okay, I don't understand what you said here. Lacking Pan-F viewfinder and lacking grip. Okay. Richard says, also the ZF is weather sealed and you can get a used ZF for $1,500, but it's full frame, better autofocus. Yes, better autofocus, better sensor. Only problem is Nikon is lacking retro weather sealed lenses. Yeah, they only have like two vintage looking lenses, right? The 28 f2.8 and the 40 f2, right? Yeah. T Dunster says, Samsung offer a cheap weather sealed cameras. It cost them millions in warranty claims. Got us 7 figures a year for 2 years repairing them under warranty. Yes, weather sealing is always a problem, a hassle. But depending on how the terms are worked, like, I don't know. I'm just not gonna pretend that I know all these things, right? It's not always the case where you can claim warranty. Like if you immerse the camera in water, if they have proof, let's say OM system has evidence that you actually immersed the camera in water and the camera got damaged, they're not gonna fix it for free for you. You get what I mean? If it's normal splash, that's fine. But once it's been immersed, there are things in the camera that can tell them that the camera was actually in water. So if that's the case, then you have to pay for whatever repair or manpower that's required to fix the camera. Yeah. Maurice says, maybe it's just me, but I have an OM5 and OM1 and I don't find the viewfinder on the OM5 less desirable than my OM1. There's a difference, but it's not a deal breaker. Well, if you can't see the difference, then that's good. Yeah. You guys are talking to each other, no worries. Richard says, no, the Mark 1, but don't see the value of the Mark 2 compared to the Mark 1. Okay, didn't get the Mark 1 then. You guys are talking to each other, no worries. Or something says, aspect alligators. Yeah, I was talking about crocodiles in Kuching, Malaysia, right? Richard says, yeah, I'm not talking about getting one this year, but eventually I may consider one for about $1,000. Maybe I'll probably pay, yeah. It was the 25 f1.8 in some of the shots, but the shots, the portrait shots, let me get back to the portrait shots were 75 f1.8. Yeah, if you were wondering what lens we used to capture these portrait shots. All right. Richard says, especially considering you can get something far superior for less. Yeah, that's true, right? ZF is, I gotta say, Nikon did something right with the ZF. Yeah. Richard says, the only advantage you can see OM-3 over ZF is weight, size, and small weatherproof lenses. True, that's very true. Richard says, then again, Nikon has a weather sealed 26 pancake, which is pretty sweet. Was the 26 weather sealed? Really? Nikon 26mm weather sealed? Really? I did not know that. It doesn't drip resistant. Okay, that's cool. I did not know that. That's pretty cool. No wonder it's priced higher than the 28 f2.8. Hey. T Dunster says, initial shutter on the OM-3 is better, GND and Live ND as well. Just because it's better doesn't mean people need it. Like, I've never used Live ND before, and I don't think I will use it. I will use the physical ND filter. The Grad ND's implementation is so bad. Every single photograph that has come out from even the ambassadors look like there's like a sharp line in the middle. It's like badly Photoshop Grad ND, right? So I will gladly not have Grad ND and Live ND. I use actual ND filters. Yes, electronic shutter in OM-3 is better, but electronic shutter in the EMR Mark II is already so good. If you have used it, you would know, right? Yeah. Tinanza says, ZF is great using mechanical shutter though. Yeah, why not? I love using mechanical shutter. Yeah. Yeah, you can get ZF cheaper than the OM-3. Drew says, "Sir, I'm being popped over from Rob Track." Yeah, Rob was was online just now, right? I mean, if he's online, if you want to watch him, I mean, go ahead. No worries. Rob is a friend. He's such an amazing guy. It's so nice of Rob. Hey, you don't have to. Oh, come on. Yeah. Carlos says, "Do not be arrogant by responding to things that seem wrong or ridiculous to you." Okay, what did I respond? what seemed wrong or ridiculous. And I don't think I'm being arrogant. I think I'm being honest. And if you confuse honesty and arrogance, then if you don't like this channel, if you don't like being here, then feel free to go elsewhere, right? There are so many people, YouTubers out there. And I think it's also very rude for you to tell me how to be myself. This is me. So it's just whether you like it or not. It's not for you to tell me how to be who I am. So if you don't like what you're seeing, then feel free to go. The door is there, right? Yeah. Andrew says, hey Robin, hey Andrew, how are you? Nice to see you here. Anastasia says, I was waiting for the 45 and it was not released, a new version. I ordered second hand for less than $100. Yeah, it's quite cheap these days, hey, in the used market. Richard says, I really should have got the OM-1 for $1,000. For that price, it was a steal and still the lightest, smallest wildlife setup possible. But the OM-3, I would only use it for street, everyday family. Yeah, the OM-1 is definitely better for wildlife because of the grip handling and it has dual cut slots. I don't know if you need it for wildlife, but overall, I feel that it's more suitable for wildlife, right? Thomas says, Robin, how far out was Olympus on products? Did they have things in the works 2 or 3 years before they were announced to consumers? Wondering if OM System may still be using projects from Olympus days. I have no idea. I left Olympus in 2017. So Olympus got shut down in 2020, right? So I was already cut off from any information 3 years before they shut down operations and got sold to OM Digital Solutions. So I knew about the EM1 Mark III. I knew about the immediate products, like 100 to 400 and all these things, but anything beyond that, I have zero information. Yeah. Yanis says, I'm selling my Pan-F for OM3. Pan-F has unreliable autofocus. OM3 seems OM1 Mark II level, so no reason keeping the old tech. Well, if you are happy with the OM1 and OM1 Mark II's autofocus, then go for it. I'm just not convinced yet. So, yeah. Yumi says, love the set of photographs. Thank you so much. Yanis says, new camera and 3 new lenses. It seems there's future for OM system. New camera, yes, but not really new lenses. It's just an updated version, but I'm much welcome updates. The 17 and 25 definitely needs further sealing. I love those lenses. 100 to 400 should have had the 5S Sync IS in the first place. It's just a little bit late for this update, but it's a welcome update anyway. Richard says, if you already have a library of Micro Four Thirds glass and want a stylish everyday camera, I would definitely see the appeal of the OM3. Definitely. I think a lot of people have invested in a lot of lenses, but if you also can't afford to, if you can afford to spend all these lenses, I think a lot of people can't afford to buy another camera from another system as well. So it's like, who's stopping people to buy multiple systems, right? And the world is such a beautiful place. We have diversity. It's a great thing. It's like ice cream. If one day I love vanilla, maybe next day I want chocolate. Like, why should I stick with vanilla all the time, right? Yeah, we should celebrate the diversity. Jimmy says, the dial on the left only has 3 functions, photo, video. What's S and Q? Anyway, they had a whole circle to give more functionalities, missed opportunity. I think keeping it simple is not a bad thing. People want more and more and more and more, everything in the camera. I think it makes it even more too complicated and just so difficult to operate, right? So having just 2 options in a dial, that's not a problem, right? And having photo and video dedicated function is important because some features or some settings that I keep for video, I don't want it to be ported over to photo. That's a problem when I shoot with EM1 Mark II. But on the OM1, it has the dedicated video and photo set of settings, which you can just switch and it will remember your video settings separately from the photo. It's to me, that dial is very, very important, right? Yeah. Bruce says, OM3 is what OM1 should have been. If OM released OM5 as OM10 with a lower price tag and released OM5, they could avoid a lot of criticisms. Not really. OM3 is like the same level as OM1 already. It has the same internals, right? And if they do that, then who's going to buy the OM1 or OM1 Mark II? And bear in mind that OM5 came out after OM1. Like, how can it have all these OM1 Mark II's internals? It doesn't make sense, right? Yeah. Okay. Let's see, we have Ing and Barrel says, I'm so sad the lenses didn't get the lens clutch and only barely were the protector. Barely? Really? Pricing wasn't bad. I thought it's IPX1. That's not bad. Pricing wasn't bad though. On M3 they look nice. Handling is bad. I thought the weather sealing was pretty standard for the lenses, right? Like, I'm not expecting the weather sealing to be pro-grade. These are not pro-grade lenses that will bring up the costs, right? We also want the costs to be somewhat fairly reasonable for what they are. Yeah. Yep, I'm definitely not going to be able to read all the comments, but I'll do my best. Esmina says, English guy Gordon Lang has a veteran grade now. Gordon is such a nice guy. Oh, come on, don't be so cruel on him. He's nice. Catherine says, if there was an OM system live stream wasn't promoted by showing up under live on YouTube yesterday, very clever. Okay, it wasn't showing up, but it was just a few hours ago, right? Maurice says, I'm pretty sure somebody will make a grid for it. Yes, someone will. You guys are talking to each other, no worries. Richard says, I agree on the X100, convinced myself to buy it twice, regretted it both times, very uninspiring. Yeah, such a bad lens, so slow autofocus. The camera is just, I don't know, it's just a bad experience. A. Lucientes says, if it was 1500, I would have bought it already. Yeah, I know, right? It should have been 1500. Yeah, I do love it and we'll have one eventually. Yeah, I wish the price was a little bit lower. But anyways, Thomas says, Taylor Swift's influence on the young generation is unimaginable. OM Systems marketing is peak incompetence. They have a golden chance to get sales from young people instead of old geezers. I also think that while the younger generation may drive the popularity of the camera, but it is the older generation that has the money to buy the cameras. The younger people, whether they are students or they are just young working adults in the 20s or 30s, they don't have the same buying power or purchasing capability as people in the 40s or 50s who are already more financially stable, especially if you're 60s or 70s, you have your retirement funds. So you don't have to think twice. You can just splurge on cameras and lenses. And ultimately, that's where the target is for a lot of camera manufacturers, whether you want to admit it or not. Sony, Canon, Nikon, a lot of these people who use these cameras, who buy cameras, who wouldn't think twice to buy a new camera, is people in the later stage of age categories, right? Not necessarily the youngsters. But these older generation people may not be able to hype up the camera. They may not be able to popularize the camera to be trending on TikTok or Instagram because, well, TikTok users are, look at the younger generation people who are using it, right? But yeah, they don't confuse between the popularity of the brand or the camera versus people who can actually buy them. And I don't think OM System has lost sight on who can actually purchase the cameras and lenses. Yeah. Direct Pony says, Robin from Toronto, Canada. Hey, how are you? Nice to see you here. 75 1.8 is an amazing lens. I hope they do a Mark II. Yes, I need a Mark II version on it. Yes, 75 for the win, for a new weathersuit version and better coating for the ages. I know, right? Number 6 says, yes, definitely a new OM-10 because OM-10 Mark IV is still selling new in the stores. I know, right? I know, right? Derek G. Pony says, I like the combo of the Pen Air functionality and OM1 Mark II functionality of the OM-3. The OM-3 needs some color though. maybe they start with this one color scheme and then maybe there'll be like an all black version and a titanium version down the line. I don't know what they'll do, what the strategy is. GMT says, OM-3 wins on retro looks and honestly that is the primary selling point. I agree. The value will increase in a few years on the used market. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Richard says, if you are starting from scratch, the ZF is the best retro camera option, hands down. Now, if you already have a library of Olympus and Panasonic lenses, the OM-3 will scratch that itch. I know, right? Like, the cameras are there and we are not short of choices. You can just choose whichever that works for you. Some people, they just want the best possible dynamic range and high ISO performance. Then, of course, the ZF is going to give you advantage in that situation, right? But some people, they still believe in Micro Four Thirds, and I think we should support Micro Four Thirds. And I do want Micro Four Thirds, especially Panasonic and OM System, to come up with better future products. And the only way for that to happen is for them to be able to generate income and profit from current selling products. So OM-3 is not a bad solution. It's moving towards the right direction. Catamap says, not to forget, the new lenses have a thread for lens hood, no screw needed anymore. OM System will include the lens hood instead of selling separately. I don't know, I don't... Let me throw you a video here, Captain Webb. Robin Wong lens hood. Yeah. Sure. So, Captain Webb, why lens hood is not necessary? One of my higher successful video. There you go. Check this out when you have the chance. Yeah, I don't believe in lens hood. I think lens hood is a waste of space and money and I don't know, it's just useless. So yeah. Of course, if you love lens hoods, then continue using it. Don't let me dissuade you or convince you otherwise. Camera Perf says, I'm sure it's a great camera, but it's just way too expensive. That's the general consensus here. Derek G. Pony says, the price hurts, especially since I just bought the OM-1 last year. If you have the OM-1, there's no reason to get the OM-3, right? Unless you really like the look of the camera. Yeah. Astrom says, I think the OM-3 will sell well among Japanese men between 50 and 80. There you go. There you go. That's the target there, right? It's quite obvious, right? Andrew says, Emily said that there is an introductory 5-year warranty if you purchase by the end of March. Is that global? That is not here in Malaysia. Well, we don't even have OM system in Malaysia. So Cupcake Bunny says, I'm quite glad they made the OM-3 even though it's not for me. It's a very appealing camera for most people. My use is more niche. Yeah, I know, right? Just because the camera is not for you doesn't mean that you have to speak for everyone. It may be suitable for someone else. And I do hope that OM-3 sells well. Yeah. Boomerang Loud, hey, Sharil, how are you? Hello, OM-3, we are this close to OM-10. almost, right? Who knows what else will come out this year? We'll see. Camera Perf says, part of the problem is the outdated lens selection. I just watched Roman's Panasonic 20 review. The lens and many others haven't been updated for 5 to 6 years. Yeah, the Panasonic 20 is an exception because it's one of the earlier lenses. And these early lenses, they suffer some problems like bad optics, bad technical flow controls, very slow autofocus, and the rendering is not exactly the best amongst Micro Four Thirds lenses. But any lenses from 10 years ago, say 25 f1.8, 45 f1.8, they are optically superior. They control technical flows very well. Autofocus is super fast. The only update that we need is weather sealing, and they are already starting to do that now, right? Yeah, buying a $2,000 camera with all shrinking lens selection is a tough sell. Why is it shrinking? I think the lens is expanding, right? It's not shrinking. They may be old, but they're still there. And like I said, with the exception to the 20 millimeters and some of the like Olympus 17 f2.8, it's just like such an old lens. The newer lenses are actually doing really well. So yeah, Gerald says, Robin, I was talking about my client who doesn't care what the camera looks like or what I wear, as long as it delivers a minimum 20 megapixels with some corrections for perspectives, it won't cut it. All right. Yeah, I mean, 20 megapixels, once you, like you said, you do some correction, cropping, leveling, and do some perspective correction, it will be like 15 megapixels or 12 megapixels, depending on how severe the correction is. Jerome says, lucky Robin having the OM-3 announcement on the same day as his usual streaming day, so he doesn't need to change his... Oh my goodness. Yeah, I feel so bad. Hey, I mean, Rob, if Rob Trek wants to do his live stream, he's free to do his live stream. Anyone is free to do his live stream. I mean, I don't own this slot. I just happen to be making my live stream at this particular time slot, right? Come on. It's just not fair. Yeah. Richard says, just depends on use. For the Micro Four Thirds, it's great for wildlife, but I wouldn't use the OM-3 for that. I will only use it for street, family, and everyday carry. And for those purposes, there are way better options. Yeah. Number 6 says, I was shocked to hear the OM-3 burst rate is only 5 frames per second. I think it's 6, right? 6. My EM5 does better than that. Yeah, that's a little bit strange, right? Like, why would they tone down? I guess there will always be some compromises there and here. It's just strange that they will bring down the frame rate from 10 to 5 frames per second. That's really strange. Jerome says, since you're so frugal, we might as well just use the money to pick up either one of the 100 or 400 and you won't use it as much. I mean, I will buy lenses that I will use, right? There are other lenses that I can purchase. One that came to mind would be for Nikon. You know, like I'll definitely maybe get a 50 f1.4 for my Nikon. That's something that the Micro Four Thirds cannot do, right? It's such a shallow depth of field. I would need like a 25 f0.7 to match that 51.4 in terms of depth of field rendering, right? Yeah, and it's not that expensive. It's way cheaper than 100 to 400, which I will never use because I don't shoot birds or wildlife. Yeah. Lenny the Land says, hi Robin, nice to see you are back. I'm glad to be back. Thank you so much. The new camera seems great. It may be a hit with some, but what's new on it? They are not pushing or innovating with the Four Thirds system forward. I think new features and new capabilities and pushing the boundaries, that would be left for the flagship. Like, I don't mind if there's no new sensor, there's no update in terms of resolution count or improvement in image quality or new features in the OM-3. That's fine because it sits below the flagship, which is the OM-1. So the OM-1 Mark III, I really hope that they will come up with new features, new capabilities, new image sensor with improved image quality, and definitely fix that autofocus problem, right? And bring the autofocus capabilities closer to what Sony, Canon, or Nikon can do. They don't have to surpass Sony and Canon, but at least come close and definitely improve from what we have today. That will be on the flagship sort of territory. I don't mind if OM-3 doesn't have that. That's why I was wishing that OM-3 will be priced lower with maybe lower capabilities. That's okay. It's a camera that you want to buy for the looks, right? So yeah. Number 6 says, Robin, you always look so strong and fit. How do you do it? I have not been to the gym for the past 3 weeks, and today was the first day I went back to the gym. Oh my goodness, it was a nightmare being away from the gym for so long, because the week before I went back for my Chinese New Year holidays in Kuching, Borneo, I need to tie up a lot of loose ends. I need to finish a lot of edits. I need to meet some people, meet my clients. Yeah, it was a nightmare the week before, and of course I managed to finish most of my things, and then I flew back to Kuching. That 2 weeks in Kuching, I was just eating and eating and eating every day, non-stop. All the sugary stuff. I mean, if you are a Chinese, if you celebrate Chinese New Year, you know that we have like the bak kwa, which is dried meat. It's just full of sugar. We have all this tarts and cookies. It's just all butter and sugar and flour and cakes. Oh my goodness, it's just been eating all this sugary stuff for the past 2 weeks, and I don't know. I don't feel like I'm at the fittest now. It might take a few weeks to shed off some of this weight. But yeah, I've been going to the gym. I've been lifting weights for a while now, for a few years. So I do want to build somewhat a stronger physique, because I know that I'm not getting any younger. I just turned 40 2 months ago in December, and yeah, moving forward, things are just going to get harder and harder. If I were to have any fitness goals, or if I really want to change my lifestyle and live to be fitter and stronger, now is the time to do something, right? So I have to lift harder in the gym. Now is the time to push my capabilities in the gym. And I don't know how long I'm able to do this, but I do want to be fit enough to carry my gear into old age, like preparing for the future. At least I can move around, not having too much problems later on in life, right? So yeah, thanks for noticing. But like, I don't know, I feel a little bit bloated at the moment. I don't know if you can see the bloat from all the sugary drinks and all the cakes and treats during Chinese New Year. So yeah. Bob says, some of the OM film cameras came in black. It would be nice to see if this carries through to the digital age. Yeah, I think they always have the black version. Like the Pan F had the black version as well, right? Even the OM-5, EM-5 Mark II, Mark III. I think they will just release a special edition later on. I don't know what the strategy is. I hope that's not the case, asking for more money for the black version. Ink Barrel says, lens hoods were vital before modern coatings. Modern is also a relative statement. I like them for protection. Yes, I think if you worry about your cameras and lens falling, and if you have a lens hood attached, the lens hood will be the first to be sacrificed, and that protects the camera and lens from damage. That was probably the only reason I will use a lens hood, right? But other than that, I've never used a lens hood since 10 years, 20 years ago. So I've given up on lens hood already. So it's just, watch the video. I explain why I don't use lens hoods. So yeah. Let's see, where were we? We are a little bit behind. All right. Okay. I don't know what you're talking about. Poman, marketing. What marketing? Jay says, I'll be picking one up along with the 17 f1.8 very soon. You'll fit the bill for everyday carry, build quality, decent weight. I'm sold. Yeah, great for you. There is a lot of people who will be willing to get this camera, right? So Jay is one of them. Richard says, Fuji is so overhyped, poor autofocus, overpriced, only appears film simulation, which is pointless once you start editing your own. I agree. I think film simulation is just a gimmick. Yeah. Let's see. Wow, you guys are talking to each other. No worries. Craig says, this camera looks really good. However, OM needs cameras that young people want and can afford. I can't think of too many people in their teens and 20s being able to afford these premium cameras. I know, right? Maybe, and I don't know, pen light, EPL 11. That will be a great entry point for Micro Four Thirds. Richard says if OM can get OM-3 into the hands of Billie Eilish, Post Malone, they'll fly off the shelf. If they can, it's gonna be costly as well. And I think the artists will have to want the camera by themselves. Like Taylor Swift is already using the EM10 Mark IV, right? So that's an easy thing to do. But if you plant a camera in a celebrity who doesn't believe in your system, and he just promote your camera or brand because you pay them to, it will have adverse effects. Like Sony can just come in and say, hey, we're going to double the payment, whatever OM system is paying you. You promote our product, and that's it. The next day, you see that Billie Eilish is promoting Sony, and then all the people who bought Olympus or OM system before will just jump to Sony. You can see how this can backfire. So if the artist or the celebrity is already a believer in the system and you go in and do something with them, like a collaboration, it makes more sense. But if you just come in and pay them to hold your camera and post it on Instagram, that's just not a good strategy. Yeah. Camera Perf says, my hope is this release will drive down the price of OM5 as well as EM5 Mark III and EM10 Mark. Not really, because it's a different category, right? It's not a successor to the OM5. If this was the OM5 Mark II, then the OM5 and EM5 Mark III's price will definitely go down because this is OM3, so it doesn't really overlap or it doesn't do anything to the OM5. It's just a totally different category altogether. Richard says, full frame is the happy middle of performance size with IQ and size. Bob says, with the OM-3, I think OM system is finally saying we are not just for sports and wildlife. Yes, I'm happy to see this camera come out, especially at this time, because they've been too heavily focused on wildlife, and I've been very vocal about this. And I've been saying that, you know, not everyone is shooting birds, right? And not everyone is in nature, wildlife. So having a camera that is more geared towards everyday carry, travel, casual use, and you know, it's like for street and documentary style photography, this is definitely the move towards the right direction. It's sending the right signal to the Micro Four Thirds fans that says, hey, we are still here, we are listening, and we are not all about wildlife. And that's a very important move from OM system. I'm glad that they make it happen. Yeah. Andrew says, yeah, she's showing lens hoods included in both 25 and 17, but I understand you have to pay extra for it, right? It's not included. Yeah. Richard says, the downside full frame lenses are freaking huge and heavy. That's not true. My lenses for my Nikon Z5 is actually very small. I have the, let me think now. My brain is not functioning. I have the Vutrox 20 f2.8, which is quite small. I have the Nikon 28 f2.8, which is a pancake lens. I also have the Nikon 40 f2, which is also a pancake, and a 75 TT Artisan f2, 75 f2, which is also very, very small. So not all of them are super huge. You can pick and choose which lenses you want. You want the large lenses or you want to use the small lenses. And if you know me, you know that I have a thing for smaller lenses. Yeah. Mike Cruz says, hi Robin, OM-3 looks pretty good. Hey Mike, how are you? The color creator should be in every camera. It was also, I'm also surprised at the size. It's larger than the OM film camera. I'll probably get one later. The color creator is in every camera. It is. It just doesn't have the knob. The color creator is in every single Olympus camera since the EPL 7, if I remember correctly, because I did a review for that. Oh my goodness, let me see. Robin Wong, EPL 7. Let me see. Yes, I have my review here. Let me see if I have the color creator. Okay, maybe it's not color creator, it's different color. No, it's partial color. Color creator was introduced, which camera was it? Now, I don't remember when they introduced it. It might have been EM10 Mark something. I don't know. But since then, I mean this is more than 10 years ago, all Olympus cameras have color creator. And I actually talk about how to activate that. Oh my goodness. Let me see my videos. One of my tips videos. Do people still watch my tips videos? Olympus OMD tips and tricks. Let me see. Okay, there you go. Shoot better color with Olympus OMD. Let me share this. How to find the color creator settings. Let me see. I just want to pinpoint exactly where. Yes, color creator starts at 3 minutes. All right. Tips and tricks, color, Olympus OMD. So Mike Cruz, if you don't know about color creator, you can check out this video I made in January 3rd, 2020. That's 5 years ago. Yes. So there you go. Color creator in Olympus cameras. All right. John, hey! Overtime today. Yeah, because John, 恭喜发财, John. And yeah, we still have like 200 people watching, so stay on a bit lah for all these people here. John, how's your Chinese New Year? Hey, should we meet up or not? But I'm not free in the next few days. Maybe next week, later next week, I'm a little bit free. Let me know if you have time for a coffee, John, or a photo walk. It'd be nice to catch up for after all this time, right? Yeah, it'll be awesome. Let me know your timetable, John. We PM tepi lah, PM tepi. Let's see. Richard says, although the newer Nikon lenses are super small and like, yeah, this is what I've been talking about, right? Yeah, smaller lenses. All right. Peter says, I love my EM1 Mark II. Same, I love my EM1 Mark II as well. It's still my flagship main workhorse camera. Michael says, having the OM1 and almost deciding to buy the XT5, having Olympus, I believe it makes more sense to buy the OM-3. Go for it. Go for it. You won't regret it. Yeah. Number 6 says, good night, Robin. Street photographers do it on the sidewalk. Good night, number 6. Thanks for dropping by. Anasta says, I use the EM1 Mark II and OM1 Mark II all the time side by side. OM1 is far superior. Nah. If you are getting EM1 in less than 50% hit rate, you are using it wrong. Like, I've been using the EM1 Mark II for my jobs, like, all the time, and it's just so superior. Like, watch the video that I've highlighted earlier about why the OM1's autofocus is slower and unreliable. And you'll read the comments, look at the comments, a lot of people are also saying the same thing. I'm not the only one, and this problem has been highlighted over and over in forums, online discussions, Facebook groups. A lot of people are experiencing the poor autofocus performance of the OM1. Yeah. The updated versions of the 17 and 25 are metal, but the lens hood is included in the box. All right, really? Okay, I thought the lens hood comes separately, but anyway, I could be wrong. Kirsten says, really appreciating the tish in on screen and in the comments. No worries. Appreciate that. I try my best to share as much as I can, Kristen. Tonic says, does the OM-3 external recording support ProRes mode? I'm not aware of this. If there's support, then it wasn't highlighted as one of the key features. And I believe that if it is one of the key features, they would have highlighted it, right? And it's not like they can't do it because this is something that is possible with the OM1 Mark II. And it has OM1 internals. I think if they want to do it, they can, right? I just don't see it in the highlights. Gordon says, thanks Robin and Rob Trek for the sessions this AM. Enjoy and looking forward to your group sessions later this month. Yes, looking forward to that as well. Bob says, I'm assuming that OM3 rolling shutter is much better than that of the ZF. It should be because smaller sensor, faster processor, stack sensor. So it definitely can control rolling shutter better if you're using electronic shutter. Captain Webb says, the OM3 left dial could have been 3 vertical positions, 2D switch, but not so retro as a dial. It would have made the body smaller and the space is needed by the battery anyway. Yeah, we could have talked about all these what ifs, right? But I think what they have now, it's not bad. It's not bad. And the only problem now is that I think the two glaring problems is that it's using an older and inferior electronic viewfinder for that price point. And for that price point, it's a little bit steep, right? A lot of people wish it's a little bit lower. But anyways, we can talk about price all night long, but people will still buy, and I hope that OM system can generate some profit. Matthew says, hope you can verify if OM3 fixed the OM1 issue you have. I don't think I'm going to be able to get my hands on one, so unless I buy one myself, which I'm not, because like I said, this is not the camera for me. As I mentioned, PanF is also not the camera for me. I'd rather have a camera with a beefy grip and dual cut slots. It doesn't have any of these features. If not, it's UK price, you can get 17, 25, 45 FM2 in the grey market, which would be money better spent. I agree. Brana, hey, how are you, Brana? Hello. Nice to see you here. Espina says, Roger already solved the grip. Camera Proof says the entire internet of loyal customers want a new Pan F. How does Olympus respond? Here's a 2000 less retro camera instead. I don't think it's less retro than the Pan F. I think OM-3 is quite retro looking. It's just different. It may not be something that you like. I'm one of the people who don't like the electronic viewfinder to be at the side. I rather have it in the middle. It just feels right. I know some people say, oh, but my nose blocks this and that. But to me, I prefer the design of the OM-3. It makes more sense to me, right? You've tried already? Wow, that's fast. Chris says, for everyone complaining about the price of OM-3, just remember that the OM-5 has a regular price of $1,500. Yeah, and it's supposed to be higher than the OM-3, right? I mean OM-5, right? Yeah. No worries, Anastasia. I'm just glad that you're here. Yeah, go do whatever you need to do, and thank you for being here. I appreciate that. All right. Jay says, lenses that released with the ZF was a head scratcher to me. Totally missed the mark though. Really? I thought 28 f2.8 is a fantastic lens. I just reviewed the lens a few weeks ago. 40 f2, I'm going to review the lens soon. I thought those lenses were fantastic. Yeah. Richard says, I think the one thing we can all agree on here is that photography is awesome and the best camera is the one in your hand. Definitely, definitely. Yeah, there's no perfect camera and we only have the camera that, whatever we have is definitely more than good enough and the cameras are better than all the photographers out there, definitely. I know, right, John? We don't get this. It's because of the camera's hype. We have a new camera launch today, so that brings in a lot of viewers wanting to either vent their frustration or share their thoughts and opinion about how awesome the new camera is. Yeah. Yes, after Chinese New Year, maybe. Yeah, because I just got back, John. 2 o'clock this morning. I slept at 3. I took a midnight flight. And yeah, I woke up. I need to meet a client. Then after that, I came back. I have to rush for the stream already. I don't have time to do anything. I'll be busy for the next few days as well. So yeah. Mike says, the color creator is in the OM-3. It's the one from the Pan F. I think one other Pan camera. Adjusting colors individually. That's the one I meant. Yeah. Yeah, the color profile is the Pan F, not color creator. Color creator is in any other cameras. So yeah. Let's see. How far are we? We're almost there. Ka says Pan F body is actually much smaller body. Wonder if similar high-grade camera can pack the Pan F size body in the future. I think they sort of gave up on the Pan F already. The fact that the OM-3 is here means that, hey, you know, you guys want Pan F Mark II? We're not going to give you Pan F Mark II, but we are giving you this OM-3. That's the solution or the answer, right? So we're not going to see Pan F Mark II anytime soon. Lucky says, is the OM-3 really that much better than OM-5 or just different? If you already addressed this, I'm sorry. No worries. It's fine if you're late. I think it's different. OM-3 is like a mini OM-1 Mark II. The OM-5 is just a rebatch EM5 Mark III, which is a much older camera. So in terms of image stabilization, weather sealing, build quality, it's definitely better than the OM5. Video features, autofocus algorithm, yeah, definitely better than OM5, right, in all regards. Yeah. And Trail says, howdy from Washington, D.C. Hey, and Trey, how are you? Nice to see you here. Camry Perf says, obviously, I also agree with brand diversity. Brand monogamy is not my bag. Yeah, true. If you can try different cameras, different brands, why not? Just give it a try. It's such a wonderful world to live in today. We have so many choices out there. Yeah, love Sony, Nikon, OM threesome. Threesome. It sounds so wrong somehow. Richard says this makes you wonder in 10 years from now, what camera will we all be using? What gear will we be taking about and excited about? I think for me, I don't really care about 10 years from now. I just want to live today. I want to go out and shoot today, and I want to enjoy my photography process today, right? It's the act of shooting that excites me, that makes me happy. It's shutter therapy, right? So it doesn't really matter about the gear. I can still be using some of my older Olympus cameras 10 years from now. I'll still be happy. It's the process that I enjoy, right? Yeah. Original Jump Track says, hi Robin, the OM-3 looks fantastic, packed with features of the top-end model and looks good too. I'll be very interested using the color profiles straight to JPEG and cut out editing time. Yeah, but I don't think the implementation is quite there. Like, I can see the appeal, but I also feel that it's lacking a lot of things. But anyways, I'm not the one to comment because I don't shoot that way. I shoot raw and edit my own photographs. John says, hi Robin, John from New Jersey. Hey John, how are you? Nice to see you here. In my opinion, I believe the OM-1 Mark II is a better buy. It's still better features. Not happy with the one card slot. No grip and really not that many features. If you're feeling that way, you've already decided that OM-1 Mark II is the camera for you. OM-3 is not the camera for you. But this doesn't mean that other people may not buy the OM-3. So both the OM-1 Mark II and the OM-3 are very different cameras, as I've mentioned already earlier. The OM-1 series camera or the EM-1 series cameras, they're designed for professional use. They have dual cut slots, they have beefier grip, handling better, larger lenses. These cameras are the best of the best because they are the flagship cameras. They're designed for professional shooting environment. Whereas the OM-3, knowing that it doesn't have a beefier grip, you don't want to use larger lenses on it, knowing that it only has a single cut slot, it's not designed for professional use. But having said that, not everybody likes the black box design of the OM-1 Mark II. It looks very serious. It looks like a DSLR, right? Not a lot of people love a DSLR kind of camera. So if you are a non-serious shooter, if you have a casual shooter, everyday carry camera for travel, for street photography, for non-serious work, right? I think the OM-3 fits the use case scenario better than the OM-1 Mark II. You don't need dual cut slots if you're just taking photos of a cup of coffee in a cafe. You don't need beefier grip if you're just going to use a 25 f1.8 for your street photography. So definitely OM-3 is for that target group. I'm not saying that it's better than OM-1 Mark II. You can't just look at it spec by spec because different cameras are designed for different users. And just because it's not for you doesn't mean that it's not suitable for everyone else. You've spoken that, yeah, the OM-1 Mark II is a better camera for you. Then, of course, then it works for you. OM-3 is not for me. I've said this already. Pan-F is not for me. I don't like the Pan-F. I've written my review out there. You can find it. But doesn't mean that it's a bad camera. Doesn't mean that a lot of people don't love it, right? So, yeah. Cameron says, well, I never expect my comments to be read. Thanks. I read every single comment. I try. Yeah, because I'm running out of time. It's getting late. I'm getting a bit tired. Captain says, I have bought my beloved Panasonic 45 to 175. Second hand without a lens hood. I wonder why anybody sells his useless lens hood to me, but have learned to use lower contrast to my advantage. Yeah, no worries. Richard says, I love the way that photography brings so many people together with so many backgrounds and interests. We are all hunting for the perfect cameras that will never exist. Definitely, definitely. Yeah. Camera conspiracies, right? Yeah. Ben says, happy belated birthday, Robin. I turned 40 this year. Oh, I am 1 year older than you. Oh my goodness, but you look so much younger than me though. That's not fair. Good genes, I guess. That's not fair. Anyway, well, happy birthday in advance. Hey, we are very similar in age. I didn't know that. Yeah. I always thought that you were much, much younger than me, like you're 30 years old or something. But anyway. John says, happy belated birthday. I also celebrated my 70th birthday on December 9th. All great people are born in December. Happy belated birthday to you too, John. Happy to have you here. Sweden says, lens hood is more important further away from the equator where the sun is low. Nah, not necessary. I've shot in Japan. I've shot in Australia. I don't use lens hood. I don't care. I lived in Australia for 4 years, so I know how the sun is. Richard says, good point. No worries. Thomas says, Fujifilm simulation is by far most pleasing and realistic. No, it's not pleasing. And no, it's not realistic. The color is like blue. The blue in the sky is like, ugh. And the skin tone is blah. Anyway, you get great colors. No, the colors are just blah. Anyway, David says, it's still in their nature, a tagline for OM system. They try to tie in everything for consistency's sake, right? But we all know that you're not going to use OM-3 to shoot birds, are you? You're not going to put in a 150 to 400 lens on the OM-3, are you? That's just not the best solution, since I think OM-1 or OM-1 Mark II is a better camera for that. Yeah, right. Yeah. Andrew says the hoods are not a separate purchase according to B&H. All right, then I was wrong then. I think they do come with the lens hood. Richard says, Robin, are you familiar with the words of Hugh Janis and Hang Lo? They both mention you on their channel. No, I am not. I'm going to look them up now. They have YouTube, right? Hugh Janis. Hugh Janis. I don't see the channel of Hugh Janis. I have... That's interesting. Hang Lo. Okay. No, I don't see any of... I know that you can't post any links in the chat. Sorry about that. But I'll keep this bookmarked and I'll look for them. Maybe I'll just do a quick Google search. Hugh... Janice. Let's see. Even on a Google search, I did not have any photographer by the name of Hugh Janice in the first search. So sorry about that. Or Hang Lo, let's try one more. Hang Lo on Google. No, sorry. Nothing. Nothing, sorry. Vic says it's a great day. It is a great day. Ben says it's actually not an older viewfinder since it's OLED, but it's definitely lower resolution. The viewfinder in the EM10 and the PanF was OLED. It wasn't LCD. Yeah, it's the same panel as the PanF, the original PanF and the EM10. That's why people say that they prefer the OLED, because when they use the sunglasses, they don't have to have any issues compared to the ones when they use it on the LCD or something like that. Yeah. Oops, sorry. You guys are talking to each other, no worries. Let's get to the members chat. Mike says, next should be an OM-10 with plastic body, smaller sequential buffer, no weather sealing, and $1,000 US. I hope that will happen. I hope that will happen. It was my birthday on 26th of December. That was like 2 months ago, John. Mike says, by the way, I'm officially retired now, collecting social security payments starting this month. More time for things I like to do, like photography. That's amazing. Yeah. I've given out a lens hood, John, since like 10 years ago. I think it's an annoyance and it takes too much space on my camera bag, so I don't use it anymore. Andre says, off-topic question, when I vlog for the EM5 Mark III, when I have a bright light shining on my face, my skin tone is lightened and wash out far too much. What am I doing wrong? Shoot in manual mode then. That way your exposure will not jump up and down. I think that's the same problem with any other cameras, whether it's Sony, Nikon, Canon. They will always adjust the shutter speeds or aperture or ISO settings if you shoot it in program or other automated exposure modes. For me, if I want to keep the lighting constant, I'll just shoot it in full manual. Yeah. B says, S9 or OM-3 as travel camera? OM-3. S9 is a horrible camera. No mechanical shutter, no flash. Everything is just horrible about the camera, right? It's just, I don't know. It should have been a Macro Four Thirds camera anyways. It's just not that small anyway. It's huge. And ergonomically, it's not comfortable to hold. So yeah, Ben says, I can say the dials feel very sturdy and much more solid than the PanF. In fact, comparing each side by side, the Pan is almost like a toy by comparison. Yeah, it's the fact that it's an OM camera and the fact that it's placed higher than OM5 says that the construction grade is definitely better than a PanF. I'm not surprised. Yeah, Vermi says, I want flagship tag in a smaller body. Well, here's the OM-3. I hate it. No, I don't think people say they hate it. They just say it's expensive. Yeah. Sebastian says, hi Robin, got into the live stream a bit late. Much love from Germany. No worries, Sebastian. We are just wrapping things up. Gonna go through a few more comments before we call it a night. Ben says, actually, we might still get a PanF Mark II. I'll be elaborating on that in the video soon as OM-3 dust settles. Strategically, it's not wise for OM system to come up with a PanF Mark II. At this point, or rather they come up with, say, OM-10, or work on the new flagship OM-1 Mark III, sorry, or at least the OM-5 Mark II, right? Yeah. Michael says, hello from Alaska. I'm excited about the price for sure. Just bought an OM-1 for $1,100. And OM-3 price point is hard to swallow. Hope it does well. I think it will do well, and I think the price will come down over time. Sven says, also, don't you think OM-3 could use that knob with the modes as a shutter speed, ISO down? No. I think those are useless. I think they are cumbersome. They are not the most effective way to control exposure. I still think the dual command dials are the best way to quickly adjust shutter speed, aperture, and maybe one shortcut button for ISO. Yeah. B says, I hope OM-3 will be successful, so Panasonic will join the bandwagon and release a GM6. I hope so too. Hey, Rotten Fish, how are you? Long time no see. I'm good. Hope to see you again in some of the local events in Kuala Lumpur. Yeah. And it says, beautiful camera, great specs, would love to own one. The vintage look wins my heart. Would like it if a little bit cheaper, but I guess it's a new camera. I think it's an exciting camera. Yeah. Hopefully the price will come down over time, right? Yeah. You guys are talking to each other, no worries. Ayman says, Abang Bobbin. Hey, Ayman, how are you? You are late today, Ayman. Kung si Fachai to you. Andrea says, thank you for the answer. It's very much appreciated. No worries. I do my best to go through every single chat. And we almost caught up. Ben says, I was comparing the EVF of the PenF to the OM-3 and I said it was OLED. The period does not tell us its EVF is in the EM10. I looked up. The EVF in the EM10 and the PenF are the same, if I remember correctly. PenF, let me just check. PenF. I'm sure it's the same. Yeah. Yes, according to AI, PenF has 2.36 million dot OLED electronic viewfinder. It's the first pen camera to have a built-in electronic viewfinder. Yeah, it's definitely OLED. Let's see. I think I'm not sure if EM10 has OLED, but EM10 Mark II has an OLED viewfinder. OLED EVF. It's the EM10 Mark II. I am correct. EM10 Mark II has the OLED EVF. In fact, the EVF in the EM10 Mark II is the same one as the PenF. Yeah, well, I know this because I worked for Olympus back in the day. I have to know this, right? It's my job to know. GWF says, if they made the PenF Mark II better than OM-3 EVF, I would have paid $2,500. My goodness. All right, that's it. I have caught up with the comments. I hope you guys have enjoyed the live stream for tonight. I hope you guys have enjoyed looking at some of the photographs that I've shared, street photography, street photographs from Kuching, as well as the portraits of Melanie that I shot with the 75 f1.8. Future videos will definitely come for me to share about my experience using the Panasonic GS7, as well as revisiting the Olympus 75 f1.8 for portrait shooting. Two videos. Definitely need to make them very, very, very soon. I hope you have enjoyed this discussion. It's about the OM-3. I can't review it yet. I can't make any conclusions. Personally, I do quite like the OM-3. I think it's a step towards the right direction. It's not a wildlife-centric camera, but I also think that the price is a bit on the high side during launch. I think it will come down over time. I do think that it looks beautiful. I think it will sell well. I think it will generate some profit and income for OM Digital Solutions. I hope that it does, so that they'll continue to bring us more incredible products in the future. And you guys have shared a lot of your thoughts and opinion about the OM-3. I'm thankful for that. It has been fun for me to read your comments and engage in the discussion with you guys. I hope the same goes for you. And yeah, I'm back. Today's the first day that I'm back. I'm glad to be back. More videos coming soon. Live streams as usual every Thursday, same time, same place. And I guess I'll see you guys next week. Until then, please go out and take more photographs. Bye-bye.